You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. All right, folks, welcome to the Dangerous Liberty Podcast, where we know that safety at the expense of liberty is slavery. Looks like we're having some major issues over at YouTube. Trigger warning says it's kind of working. All right, but we are live streaming on Rumble and X. So if you're not following us over there, that's why I have those as a backup, especially Rumble. So when we have issues over here on the YouTubers, or when they ban my account completely, we have something going on over at Rumble. We'll wait a few minutes and let everybody jump in and catch up and all that other good stuff. So hope everybody's had a great week. I am smoked. We were going nonstop. So I left, just so you guys know, I left Monday night, got into Salt Lake City Monday night, and then we ran hard all day, got as much as we could. I only had one day. I had a window of one day. I actually had to be back today for this. And on top of that, tomorrow morning, we have a big event going on up at our training facility. We got Sons of Liberty coming out. We're doing this thing called Shooting with Chefs. It's a charity event. I'm really excited about this. It's going to be good. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So wanted to get back and make sure we got that. I got right up until the point I was getting ready to go live here, I was editing a video I want to show you. So I think you guys will find this very interesting as it relates to the AI video, or the claims that the original surveillance footage was AI, because we have people disappearing. That was one of the things I wanted to investigate. That was kind of a big deal to me. I want to figure out what's going on with that, because that was really weird. So while we're waiting for everybody, I'm just going to say hi to some folks over in the comments, and then we'll get started. I like to wait a little, like 5 minutes or something like that. We'll see all the smack talking over in the comments. It's always fun to watch. Let's see. I want to say hi to Lori Blend, Jeff Johnson. Thanks for moderating, Jeff. Romans 1009. He's talking about YouTube glitching. Mandy 0827. Harold Shepard, good to see you. Disney Up, Boiler Up, always good to see you over in the comments. Lori Matthews, always good to see you. Trigger warning. Who else we got over there? Mr. Turpin 52, and many more. I'm going to go through a bunch of things tonight. I'll let you guys ask a bunch of questions. We'll address those, and I'll try to catch you up to where we are. I know everybody's going to be asking about the 3D model. I got some information about that. That's going to take a couple days to render and all that good stuff. All right, we'll just go ahead and get started. You guys know the rules when it comes to, this is an adult show. Like, no name calling, whether it's me, anybody over in the comments, be kind to one another. Let's be nice to people. We need a little more of that in this world. If you're not capable of having adult conversations without acting like children, we're just going to boot you. Don't type in all caps. That gets annoying to me. The other thing I will say is, if you guys want to contact me, DLPodcast at ParamountTactical.com. I'm averaging staying behind by about 500 emails or so. Every time I think I'm getting caught up, next thing I know, we get hit with a bunch more. I appreciate people emailing me. I appreciate people texting me on X. I got a lot of comments, a lot of DMs through X, with a lot of it's really good information. So I am going through all that stuff. It was Jessica Cheney. Hey, it was great meeting you as well. And I was thinking that your name was Susie. I am so sorry about that. I knew when I was typing that, I was getting that name wrong. It was really, really nice meeting you as well, Jessica. We also had Alan that came out. There was a couple other folks that came up and talked to me. They're like, hey, I watched your channel. That was cool. That was a lot of fun. Well, I told Stephen Gardner that I was going to be out there, and Gray Hughes Investigates. It was actually really cool hanging out with Gray, actually. I know you guys give Gray a lot of shit. And I know he's a little rough around the edges but I'll tell you what, Gray in person is one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet. A lot of fun. It was fun to hang out with him. I might have told him that he could go a little do a little different in the comments. But Gray is actually a really good guy. He's strong-willed, kind of hard-headed, but great person in person. Great person in person. Sometimes I say stupid things, especially when I'm as tired as I am. All right. Let's do this. I'm going to jump in and go ahead. We're going to go ahead and play this video. I thought this was really, really interesting. Because it was one of those things that really confused me. So I'm going to play this, let you guys watch it. I'll end up adding this to a video or something like that. I'm not going to, it's only a couple minutes long, so it won't be in a YouTube video on its own. But you guys are the first to see it. And I don't think anyone else has done this that I'm aware of. So let's go ahead and play this and go from there.
They first released the surveillance footage of Tyler Robinson jumping off of the roof. There was a lot of people out there saying that was AI footage because the people in the background or a person in the background disappeared suddenly behind a tree. And it looks like that path is just going from right to left. That person gets up to that tree. It looks like he should just keep going forward, but then suddenly he disappears. And of course, there was this whole thing started saying that it was AI. I definitely thought the whole thing was weird. And that was one of the things I wanted to investigate while I was there at UVU.
All right, folks. So one of the things that keeps coming up time and time again is the quote unquote AI footage that we see, that camera on that corner right there. And what I want you to notice in that original video, you only see 3 trees. There's actually 4 trees here, but the reason we only see 3 in that footage is because it's perfectly lined up. The camera, which you can see right over there, let me get it, all right, is perfectly lined up. These 2 trees are lined up, so we only see 3 trees total. And then I have an assistant over here. We got Eric, he is walking. What you don't realize is 2 things take place. Number one is that path actually curves, but then it drops off. And so again, when you're looking at this, he disappears completely as he continues to go down. It stays in line, that path basically not only drops off, but stays in line with these trees. And of course, this footage is much clearer than that camera footage up there. As he comes back, he's coming up that path. You can't see him, and then now we see him. All right, just so that everybody has a closer view of what's going on here with this actual path and embankment. You can see right here, it goes sharply to the right. You can see, I'm gonna show this from the rear point. You follow that tree as you go down this path. So AI footage debunked.
All right. So I thought that was really interesting. And seeing that in person, figuring that out, I thought that was cool. And again, that was one of those things, well, yeah, that looks really weird. And of course we got, you know, obviously we're getting that surveillance footage that looks like it's filmed from a potato. It's obviously zoomed in a lot. It's poor quality to begin with. So, you know, it is what it is, but that is what it is. No AI footage, just a weird path that you don't even see, because there is that sidewalk that's along the edge of the road, and it looks like that person's on there, and technically they are. They start on there and then they take that right and go down that little brick path that actually, it's a hard right, follows the line of those trees, just so happens, just one of those weird coincidences, and it's an embankment. It goes down, and so the person disappears. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting. And yeah, for those of you out there, if you're having issues on X, make sure you go watch us on Twitter. I'm sorry, if you're having issues on YouTube, go watch us on X or go watch us on Rumble. I was pulling that up. My kids were running down here freaking out because their YouTube was down. I'm like, I don't care. You didn't get off my Wi-Fi anyhow. So it is what it is. Yeah, I don't think the live is getting blocked. It's just YouTube is down right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. YouTube is no friend of ours. So they may be still blocking it too. But the fact is I don't think we're getting blocked right now. I think YouTube is down site-wide. So they're having some issues going on there. Thank you for bringing things to light. You're welcome. S. Gotta love them debunks. Indeed. All right, good. Gary Shaver says it's working now. Did you guys get to see that video? I don't know if you guys got to see that video or not. I probably played it. Probably was pointless. But anyways, the idea that the surveillance footage that was originally released where Tyler was actually jumping off the roof, that was not AI, just a weird coincidence. All right, so I'll talk a little bit about, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I saw in Orem at UVU. And it was definitely enlightening. Well, I'll just go ahead and start off with the fact that the drone footage, we got that done. We ran into some snags with that. We got 30% of it done, and we had to bring the drone down, and then we ended up redoing it offsite. I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But I'll tell you, folks, and I got a lot of footage back there. I got some content I'll be putting together over the next couple of days. I got an interview for you guys. I may even just play that interview for you guys tonight. We'll see how it goes. But that interview, I think, was really, really interesting. A guy named Henry Dell. He was the first person to ask Charlie a question. Him and some other guys just happened to be there. We started talking. I found out that he was one of the people actually asked a question at the beginning, asked him if he would be willing to do an interview. He said he would. So we did an interview, and I think that was pretty informative, to say the least. For all you that are joining us, because we were featured, Ryan did a great job giving us a shout out. I appreciate that, Ryan, if you're out there. Ryan and I don't agree on everything, but again, one of the things I think that we got to do a better job in this space is making space for disagreements. People are going to see this from different point of views. I've done my best not to be, combative. Just because somebody's seeing something different than me. What we've been doing in the past, and I've been guilty of this too, is assigning some sort of, motivation behind it that you really don't know. Like maybe they're a bad actor. Maybe they're just trying to grift. Maybe they're trying to get views, clicks, all those things. Or maybe that's just how they see that. And one of the things that I've, talking with people on the phone, even having conversations on here, inviting people on here with different opinions, different viewpoints on that, I have come to realize that my intuition about people with bad motivations is not always correct. There's some people out there that genuinely believe, and I'm sure many of you in the audience feel this way too. Like there's probably things that you disagree with me on. And if you told me what you thought as far as a conspiracy or what you thought really took place, somewhere in my mind, I'm like, you're crazy. Right. But at the same time, we need to be respectful of that. And quite frankly, we also need to realize that we're not always right. I can speak from experience. There are times when I knew I would have bet my life on something that I know that's correct. That is correct. And then come to find out it wasn't correct. And we've all been there. The last time that it happened to you, it wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last time. So we need to kind of set our egos aside, listen to other people, listen to their theories. But most importantly, I think our job here on this channel is to get people on, to talk about it, let you guys hear what they believe, and then ultimately, what we're going to end up doing is taking all this information and comparing it to what comes out in the trial. Now, I'm with you that we don't need to just believe anything that comes out in the trial as far as evidence and everything else. But what we can do is we can take some things that we believe are a set of facts, and we can compare and contrast what comes out with the evidence. And I think that'll at least help us form an opinion. Hey, is the government being honest with us, or are they being deceptive? And can we prove that they're being deceptive with the information that we have? So I think that's really what this effort is all about is, anytime that these incidents, these strange things take place, like I think it's our job to cover it, look at it, and number one, hold the government accountable to confirm or deny if they're lying to us. The other thing and I saw this in Butler, there were some things that people out there, myself, that we noticed that was just completely missed by investigators. I don't know if they were like huge things that were ultimately material. I mean, at the end of the day, Crooks was dead. It wasn't like he was going to get convicted or anything like that. So there was no major trial about this, but there was a trial in the public. And the question in public was, hey, is the government being honest with us? Are they being transparent? And I think the answer, without a doubt, when it came to Butler, is they were doing neither. And that's a problem. And I do think that we've seen more transparency on this compared to Butler, we've seen definitely a lot more transparency. I know that many people out there, including myself, we're not getting all the information that we would like to see and all those things, but it's definitely better so far. So there's that. One of my big takeaways going back to UVU, folks, is, man, if you get a chance to go there, I highly recommend that you go there. Not only just to pay your respects to Charlie, but being there is just completely different than what you imagine. And I will just tell you, I think every reasonable person out there, some of the theories that we've heard, I think if you were standing there, any place in there, and you look at the location where people are saying some of these people could have been, like, it just goes out the window for you immediately. I did identify a couple different spots that if that shot didn't come from Tyler, there are a couple of other plausible spots, and those are things that we're going to map out on the 3D map, and we're going to share with you guys. And we're going to share the map with you. I'm going to share that file with any and everybody that wants it. One of the challenges that we went into, because I did the same thing at Butler, folks. A couple of weeks after the incident at Butler, we were running into the same problem. People were coming with ideas, theories. They weren't taking into account line of sights. I didn't know if I had a line of sight as some of the things that I was looking at. So having that detailed map and being able to, and the resolution that we're going to get, folks, is about a centimeter, plus or minus a centimeter, is the resolution that we're going to get with that map. So people are going to be able to get in there. You literally can fly in there and you can check out, you can get literally to a window, and then you can look out essentially that window from that spot, and you can see everything to a perfect scale. And then you can, like, you know, draw lines. Now, the problem that we ran into is, and I'm working through this, is the guy that I had do that map, which is the same guy that I had do this one. You had to host that 3D software on a professional application that he had to pay a lot of money for. So we couldn't just share that link with everybody. I'm trying to figure out how to host something on our own website so that we have control over it, to where people can get in there and, you know, you can do something interactive, and you can, you know, you have access to all those features. At a minimum, I will share the files with any and everybody. We'll make those available. And I think you can download Blender and be able to pull that up. Blender's free. You will have to kind of learn how to work it. One of the things I will mention to people out there, if they know anyone that does 3D modeling, because the one thing that we're not going to have is obviously the tent, things like that within this 3D model. There's a way to get that modeled up to scale, to get it perfect, and then put those elements within the 3D map that we're going to be working with. So I'm looking for someone that has that capability. I'll pay for it. I don't care, but we need those elements in there as well, so that we can make sure that we're doing things correctly. We have the distances correct. We have angles correct. Without that, we're missing a major piece, a major component of trying to figure out answers, right? That's what it comes down to. Let's see here. Yeah, having issues with YouTube. I'll go ahead, folks. The way that we normally do this, and again, tonight's more about just a Q&A for people that have questions about UVU. That's why I wanted to do this. But normally what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit, which I already have, and then I'll go through, we'll hit super chats, we'll prioritize super chats, and then I will try to go through and answer as many of the questions in the live as possible. Lizzie, I'm going to get your last name wrong. Lizzie, thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you go down further in trees, you will find chicken coop, also the tunnel because of the fence. Also, they remove planters, reef pave, etc. Yeah, that is one of the videos I'm going to play for you guys too, completely uncut, and that is the pathway, because that was really interesting. I actually record the whole time the pathway that Tyler Robinson took, allegedly. All right, but I do show you exactly from the tunnel moving forward and going up to the roof. That whole thing was surreal to me, because again, it's open access. It's just a normal stairway that goes up to, essentially, just like all the surrounding areas, we have those kind of balcony walkways, and basically where you go to the roof is the exact same thing. I have two great law tubers that I know personally. If you want to collaborate with, I'd love to. So we can get in and talk about some of the law. talk about the investigation. I would love that very much, Bluebird. So you know how to contact me on X. Send me that or contact. Death certificate, gunshot, autopsy, bullet, ballistic lab, caliber, if matches or not the rifle, most are tricked out. GS70, I'm not sure exactly what you mean there. I will talk a little bit about the bullet, how they're going to match those things, and we can answer some questions on those. Please release the raw files ASAP. Very interesting. Yeah. All right. So as far as releasing that 3D footage, he's rendering it right now. He was rendering it the night before last night. As soon as we got done. All right. And I'll tell you guys what happened exactly on UVU. So actually, you know what? Because this goes right up to it. I'm going to go ahead and play you guys the raw footage of the walkway going into UVU. And then I'll stop right there because that was basically where we had our first interaction with, well, it was law enforcement, but it was essentially law enforcement was sent over because of UVU. Staff had them send them over. And he was actually a really nice guy. He didn't even want to get in the middle of it, but it was what it was. Let me see. I believe this is the one. I haven't even went through here and like organized these or anything else. So I'm going to play this
Here, and we are here in Orem, and we're actually walking along the route.
So I'm going to bring you guys right up to the tunnel. All right, right here. And man,
So we can see this tunnel right here. Right there, we can see the camera.
And then one of the other shots is right at the end. There's a camera there. That's that shot where it's kind of yellow hue to it.
Yeah.
I think he was right there. And you take a hard right and a hard right.
All right, folks, these are the stairs that he walked up. We can see that security camera right there. This is where we see him making that right, or left rather.
Come out right here. Right on the street here. And I think he walked right down here. This is sort of a utility road. Probably crossed over.
all right, so I'm just going to fast forward it just a little bit. We're walking through this part. We don't know for sure. We're making some educated guesses on where he was going all over.
Glass
Yeah.
at the end of that.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Right here, we meet the corner. This is where you drop down.
Well, it was right about here, right?
Jump down right on the divider of those two windows.
Look at that. I don't know if that's the impression or not.
Right up on that wedge is where those.
So right behind me is Gray Hughes. Interesting enough, you haven't seen it. I think he posted last night. So he actually had a 360 cam that he put on a long pole and pushed it up above there. And there is, without a doubt, it is his hand. There's a hand mark and a slide and some other impressions up there. You can go check it out on his channel. I thought that was pretty interesting that that was still there.
That is absolutely nuts.
All right, we'll fast forward just a little bit. I'll show you guys how we're going into here and then how we end up on top of the roof.
You go down there and you look up and it's like, okay, it's talking.
Just go straight through there. The alpha's up there. Look at those stairs.
It's insane. All right, folks, so here's the stairs. They go to the roof. Wow.
Look at that, there's that wall. There's one right over that. So this fence wasn't there.
Yeah. All right, so again, this wall is about maybe 3 feet tall. This is where we think if he did any reassembly of the firearm, right behind this wall is where he did it.
You can clearly see line of sight right here from the camera. They for sure have it.
Yeah. Yeah,
They have it all
look,
the way
folks, there is no doubt that they have him on camera. They have whoever took the shot, we'll say that. Whoever took the shot on camera. On camera.
Crazy.
Shot, you know?
They also say, why don't they have that other footage? They described it. They just didn't show it.
So, and again, folks, right over there past that air vent is going to be where he took the shot. And we're going to get some drone footage of that. So if you want close-ups of that, don't worry. We're going to be getting it.
All right. So hopefully that answers some questions for people. I know people are still asking, well, how did he get to the roof? How was it so accessible? And I'll tell you, one of the things that hit me immediately is there definitely should have been law enforcement up there. Right there should have definitely been law enforcement. We should have had some security up there. And I don't know if you guys watched the other night when I released the video from TPUSA. Apparently, they requested that TPUSA told UVU that they were going to provide their own roof coverage and that they were requesting to fly a drone during the event. UVU turned them down on both and said that university campus police would actually cover the roof, and they did deny them access to actually flying the drone. Now, right after that, right after we got done shooting that little piece, I turned the camera off and we were like, hey, this is a great spot to go ahead and get the drone up in the air. Let's just go ahead and knock out the scan. We had just gotten there. I wanted to do that right away. And so we got the drone up. We were probably in the air for 10, 15 minutes. And then a cop came walking up and he was like, hey, the university doesn't want you flying a drone. And I told him, I was like, well, the university really they don't have control over the airspace. That's FAA controlled. But at the same time, we also knew that the university had every right to kick us off the campus. So I was like, hey, go talk to our drone operator. He'll talk to you. It's his business. He knows all the rules, regulations, all those things. So we went up there and talked to him. Peter's the guy that was operating the drone. He gave me a call because I had already gone down to the amphitheater. And he's like, hey, they're saying that, there's a liability issue, this, that, or the other. And I'm just going to go fill out some paperwork and hopefully, just get back in the air. So that's what we tried to do. We tried to play by the rules. We went down there. He filled out a bunch of paperwork. He talked to like 5 different people. And then the person that was going to approve the request of us flying the drone, luckily, just so happens that he was at a conference and it wasn't going to be that day. And we only had that day. So after a bunch of back and forth, him trying to explain to them like, hey, you don't control your airspace. Like we can go off campus and fly this drone, or you can just let us stay here and fly the drone. Well, they were having nothing of it. A lot of people don't understand how that works. Basically 1 or 2 inches above your ground, folks, in your own property is FAA controlled airspace. You don't have a lot of control over that. So long story short, we decided we were going to get a bunch of footage there throughout the day, do what we need to do there. And then we ended up going off site, flying the drone. We found a place where he could keep a line of sight to the drone. And then it was about 4 p.m. We ended up conducting the entire survey, which took a little over an hour. It's a large area and we wanted to get as detailed as possible. So that's kind of what ended up happening. And overall it was a very productive, I had 1 day to get that done. And I think we got a lot done over that. Retired 160th in the house, Jack Sparrow, Night Stalkers. To our Rockasans, much love, bro. Huey to Super Cobras, V280, Bell Helicopter Drone represents here. How I feed my family in the private sector, East Tennessee. Love to all. Jack, yeah, I'm assuming that you were at the 101st. I've been wanting to get back to Fort Campbell and visit. I actually, once I was stationed at the 101st. We did the initial push into Iraq. I was with Rockasans. I was a sniper team leader there. And I came back and I wanted to go SF. So I went to selection. I was so ready to get out of there, right? And of course, I went to Fort Bragg, and then ultimately stationed at Fort Lewis at First Group. And I can tell you, man, Fort Campbell was the best post I ever had, and love that area and miss it a lot. I need to get back up there and visit. Gary spends 2 days of his life, 8 to 10 hours on campus, is a real stand-up dude, and still the sheep believe these 4-second reels. Nice to meet you. Yeah, so this is Eric. You guys go give him a follow. When I put out some videos, I'll be mentioning Eric. Eric was very nice. Met up with me. He's a alumni. Yeah, man. Oh, Eric, I appreciate all your efforts and all your help. And yeah. All right, Legendary Ego. Have you seen Baron Coleman's YouTube video, the IP addresses in DC and Israel searched Tyler Robinson and everyone involved before in July? He was shot using Google Trends data. I have not seen that. I've heard a lot about it. I want to take a look at it myself for sure. That's interesting. I don't know what to say. Henry Dell's up in the house. You guys go give Henry a follow as well. I'll be releasing. I may even play it tonight. We'll see. Henry, I really appreciate you taking the time to give me that interview. And no, I look forward to doing some other stuff with you. I want to get you on. We'll have you on the podcast, and we'll do a much more in-depth interview. And I'm sure everybody out there has a lot of questions for you as well. You missed my super chat earlier. If I did, I apologize. These things were jumping around. Let's see. Oh, here we go. If you go down further in trees, you'll find the chicken coop. Also the tunnel because of the fence. Also, they removed planters, repaved, etc. Yeah, so I have a bunch of footage of the actual site, which is where I guess you're talking about. I also have a bunch of footage over in the wooded area where the rifle was supposedly found. That was not what I expected it for sure. It's up on a large embankment. I have an idea of where I think he probably hid the rifle, and we saw there was clearly activity in that area. So I think that's on point, but that whole area was not what I expected it by a lot. Sorry for missing that chat. I apologize. Did your video there on roof just show cameras behind the gate? Curious if they were there on, no, they were not there on September 10th. So that video that shows, and I'll just throw it back up here for a minute. This fencing here. So this fencing here that we see, hold on. All right, that fence wasn't there, and that camera wasn't there on September 10th. None of that was there. What that is there for is to keep people like me from moving forward. As a matter of fact, anytime you bumped this fence or made a loud noise or anything like that, it would have an automated, like, please stand back for your safety or something along those lines. So no. And there was a large police presence there on campus. There was probably, I saw probably 10 different law enforcement officers walking around in the courtyards and areas. Very small campus, really, when it comes down to it. So, and then there was multiple other law enforcement officers in vehicles patrolling and or parked. And every time I turned around, there was one of them close to us. So they were watching us. I did talk to several of the police officers there. They were really cool. One of them was like, hey, man, I follow your stuff. So they were cool. They were just doing what the campus wanted them to do. And the dean, she tried to throw us out. But it was good. Or she wanted to throw us out, is what he said. Something along those lines. Vietnam. Yeah, I still got a condo down in Vietnam. All right, hey, real quick too, I'm going to play this video again. I know most of the people, there was only a couple hundred when I first played this video, but I want to play this video again for everybody else. And it's the AI walkway video. So I'll go ahead and add.
First released the surveillance footage of Tyler Robinson jumping off of the roof. There was a lot of people out there saying that was AI footage because the people in the background or a person in the background disappeared suddenly behind a tree. And it looks like that path is just going from right to left. That person gets up to that tree. It looks like he should just keep going forward, but then suddenly he disappears. And of course, there was this whole thing started saying that it was AI. I definitely thought the whole thing was weird. And that was one of the things I wanted to investigate while I was there at UVU.
All right, folks. So one of the things that keeps coming up time and time again is the quote unquote AI footage that we see, that camera on that corner right there. And what I want you to notice in that original video, you only see 3 trees. There's actually 4 trees here, but the reason we only see 3 in that footage is because it's perfectly lined up. The camera, which you can see right over there, let me get it, all right, is perfectly lined up. These 2 trees are lined up, so we only see 3 trees total. And then I have an assistant over here. We got Eric, he is walking. What you don't realize is 2 things take place. Number 1 is that path actually curves, but then it drops off. And so again, when you're looking at this, he disappears completely as he continues to go down. It stays in line. That path basically not only drops off, but stays in line with these trees. And of course, this footage is much clearer than that camera footage up there. As he comes back, he's coming up that path. You can't see him, and then now we see him. All right, just so that everybody has a closer view of what's going on here with this actual path and embankment. You can see right here, it goes sharply to the right. And you can see, I'm gonna show this from the rear point. You follow that tree as you go down this path. So AI footage debunked.
All right. So again, I think that answers, that was a question that I wanted to answer. That was a big deal to me when I went. That was like one of my major to-do lists. And I got a lot more footage of the entire campus, obviously the main area of the courtyard. I took a bunch of panoramic shots of that for you guys to see. Yeah. And of course we got drone footage. Not only do we have the modeling that we did, but we also got a lot of actual video footage from the drone as well. Ian Carroll has footage of UVU as well, and drone footage that you can compare for any changes. Yeah, I definitely want to we'll get this model out to some big folks like Ian Carroll and many others. And again, I'm going to make that footage available to anybody that wants to download it. You're more than welcome to get it. William Hessinius. Thank you, William. We appreciate that. Your drone guy recorded video the whole flight, right? Will you release the unedited video files? You can't video record. Well, I don't know that. I don't think that you can video record while it's mapping. We got separate drone footage, just video footage. That being said, there are a lot of people out there that do have a lot of drone footage on there, Ian Carroll being one of them. I will make everything possible available to everybody. Just as simple as that. That's awesome, Henry. Thanks for helping Gary out. Nice to see Marcus J. Allen in the chat tonight. Marcus, where you at, buddy? I wasn't even sure if I was going to do this tonight. We got to get Marcus back on here. I enjoy having Marcus up in the house. New comments. Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff going on. I haven't looked that hard into the private jet that left, turned his trans. Early on, I heard some pretty good explanations, and I kind of left that alone. Maybe it's worth looking into. Yeah, I'll leave it as like that. Did you by chance time how long it would take to get from under the area Charlie was shot to where the shooter jumped off the building? Surely the people walking past the building in the background heard a gunshot and people screaming. I was thinking you'd see people running in the background. Stephanie, I'm not quite sure I understand. I think what you're saying is, here's what I'll tell you that I think is almost a fact, is that people outside of the campus, they may have heard noise or something. I don't think that, it's just like being on the outside of a stadium, right? But it's completely enclosed 360. So they may have heard noise. They may have even heard a gunshot. It just seems like from the little bit of surveillance footage that we have, I'm not sure that anybody heard it, or if they did hear a noise, that anybody thought it was a gunshot. And then I'm pretty convinced that any screaming or anything like that happened inside that amphitheater area, I doubt that people on the outside would have heard it. And look, we just got to take into account, this is just being real. We got to take into account the fact that nobody pays attention to their surroundings, period. Like this is one of the things that we constantly teach in our courses, like situational awareness. It's your first line of defense, and nobody does it. People are just driving, they're clueless, they're listening to music. People are driving with earbuds. People are walking with earbuds. People are walking with their, I mean, try to find a person walking that isn't looking at their phone too. So the lack of situational awareness plays into a lot of this. There's no doubt about it. Down in it says the plane was debunked. I don't know if that's true. You guys can look at that. I haven't looked into that very much. A little too coincidental that no drone, no sniper prevention, no police presence, just a little too much like Butler. You're not wrong. Look, there should have been cops up there. If UVU said they were covering the roof, like that area was a key area that they should have been covering for sure. That being said, it is absolutely unreasonable that we should all of a sudden expect celebrities to have the same level of coverage as the president or a head of state. Like Charlie Kirk wasn't hiring a presidential secret, a presidential security detail, Secret Service detail. He wasn't. I agree there should have been more security. And I think going forward, this is obviously going to be taken into account. We're going to see drones at every venue. We're going to see some sort of counter sniper units, people that are dedicated to that. I agree with all those things. That was not standard operating procedure for a celebrity. And, you know, if I'm being real too, like Charlie Kirk was a huge celebrity in our mind, and without a doubt, he's even bigger than he was before. But at the same time, I mean, just being realistic, you know, I watch this content all the time. Him, you know, he wasn't like this huge celebrity. He did have a lot of death threats. All that stuff should have been taken into account. You know, I wish they would have done things differently. All right. And I think we're going to see a lot of changes as far as standard operating procedures for security going forward. There's no doubt about it. We'll leave it at that. All right. Yeah. So this is just, this just came in. Look, guys, I've said it once. I'll say it again. Our moderators doing it. Don't call people names. Look, we're just going to be nice to people on this show. I don't care. Like, learn to talk to people that you disagree with. We all got to get better at that. If we care about the truth, whatever, whatsoever. I can't talk tonight. I'm clearly tired. Yeah, we just got to get better at that, right? I mean, number one, that's what Charlie was about. Number two, like everybody in these comments, all of you agree on 99% of everything. But because somebody believes a different theory than you, even if you find it ridiculous, you're going to talk down to them and be like, you're an idiot or whatever else. Like, we just don't do that on this show. That's not what I want to see done. Marcus, I'm going to send you an invite. I want you to jump in here. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to copy this. And if you're near a computer or your phone or whatever else, Marcus, I'm sending you an invite right now. We'll jump on there. I didn't want you to feel obligated because I was kind of doing this last minute. All right, Marcus, I sent you an invite. If you can make it, jump on here, bud. Would love to hear your questions about all of that. The bloody hands from the wound has been debunked. Well, first of all, I disagree with this. Like, where has that been debunked? The bloody hands were actually from carrying Charlie, not packing the wound. Okay. Like, who said that? What validity do they have in that? I would like that to know that. I honestly think they had drones or aerial view, can hear it right after. I haven't heard anything like that, Agnes. If you've seen some footage like that, let me know. So far, everything that I've seen that people attribute to be drones, I believe, are either bugs. There's definitely were some that were definitely bugs. And then the other ones, I definitely believe in birds. It's funny because one of the shorts that I shot while I was there, when I played it later on, after I posted to YouTube, I was just making sure it was playing okay. I saw several birds fly by. So, I mean, what's interesting about that area is, number one, there's a water feature there, so it attracts insects and birds. There's insects and birds there for sure. And of course, the day of that event, the waterfall wasn't running because that waterfall is loud. It's actually hard. It was hard to record. It was hard to talk to people near the waterfall. So we have stagnant water that's going to attract more bugs. And then, of course, we have that green area in the water. It's going to attract birds and other wildlife. So I do think, and I'm open to drones being there. I just don't think that there's a lot of capabilities of, I flew drones. I went to drone school. I won't say that there isn't capabilities of a drone being able to fire a weapon from the air. They have that capability. Primarily what we use drones in the military is we're dropping guided bombs and guided missiles. That's what we do. Like, I'm not aware of any of the drones that actually have like guns on them. It's very hard to target with a drone. But if there was a drone big enough to carry a payload, like a gun or any sort of device that would fire a projectile with enough velocity to kill someone, you would hear that drone. You would see that drone. You would hear it shoot. Like, I can't get on. So far, I haven't seen anything that it's going to allow me to get on board with the drone theory. Let me see what else we got here. Yeah, first the FBI said they didn't turn the transponder off, but then the people that were on it said that they were told that they could turn it off. Yeah, again. I can see Gary's beard was different in the video. Probably. I can't understand the trunk shoot probability. I don't know what you mean. Jesus. I know pilots can catch some pretty serious charges for that. It's not likely to just happen, especially for the length of time. Yeah, I don't know. Well, look, I'm going to defend some of these theories. Look, when it came to the idea here is that is a military plane, and military planes are authorized to fly without transponders on. So I think that's kind of the implication there. Apparently, UVU police didn't cover the rooftops. That is correct. Paramount Tactical, look how he's carrying the towel. If he wasn't covering the rifle, he would ball it up and run, not let it hang to the ground. Look, I think Gray Hughes did the absolute best job of explaining that footage. And I was on board with, it doesn't look like he's carrying a gun when he gets off the roof. Folks, you know what, let's just pull it up. I have that footage somewhere. Let me just, we'll take a look at it. We'll go through that and kind of discuss some of the things I think people need to see with that for sure. Give me a second here. Boom. This one. All right. So I'm just going to play this footage that I screen grabbed, and I do think it is worth looking at. Let me remove this one. All right. So one of the things I want you guys to notice, even right here, folks, look at how at some point in time, look how skinny his legs look. It's getting washed out because we have a shitty camera with very low dynamic range. So we have all of this bright area over here. So it's making his legs almost disappear. There's even points there where as he puts his arms down, look, I mean, his arms disappear. Very, very thin. All right. And imagine how much thinner the barrel of that gun is compared to his arms and his legs. Right. So when we look at that and we scroll through this, when he drops down, I don't think I have very much of this because I was just pulling parts of this video out. But, I mean, that gives you a pretty good idea there, even when he's running in the grass. Now, there are frames, and Gray Hughes points it out in his video. Please go watch the video on this. Don't argue about it. Just get more information, and at the end of that, with that additional information that you have, you can make a determination after that. Don't be that person that doesn't want their mind changed. Just take a look at it, ingest that information, and then make another determination at the end of that. But I will say there are definitely times where if you go through this frame by frame, where you see enough length that's rigid enough to where, to me, it clearly indicates that he has a full rifle there. But again, you guys watch that video and you make that determination for yourself. And again, doesn't mean he shot him. All right. Look, I mean, I think at this point, I feel like there's a lot of evidence that points to Tyler, but we don't know, right? We can't say that 100% one way or the other. Look how he's securing the towel. Yep. Off of Twitter, it would be great to have a repository of all that stuff that's undoctored. Would you be willing to share clips of the shooting that you've collected off of Twitter? So yeah, actually, I don't know if Piper's in the chat. She should be over there. Her and I have talked about what I want to do. We've already kind of started a repository of all these different clips and everything else. I do want to do that. Folks, the problem is getting to a point where we can host all that and give everybody access to that. I don't know if we can do that off of Google Drive. That is my goal, to create a repository. And Piper's been awesome. There's been several other folks that have contacted me with, clips that are doing the same thing as Piper. And she is very good at organizing that stuff. And every time, because what I'll do is I'll download something on my phone. I'm like, oh man, I haven't seen that footage, or I'm going to use that footage in my next video or on a live stream or whatever else. And I'll save it and I'll put it on a file somewhere. And then it's all jumbled up, and I'm not good at organizing those things. Piper is. So anytime that I need a piece of footage, I'm like, Piper, that one, that one video that shows X, Y, and Z. And within a couple of minutes, she sends it to me. So yes, I would be willing to do that. And we should be doing that. Or they had earbuds in. Yeah. The list of charges says there's something up. They said he carried the weapon in his right leg. So odd. I don't know. I mean, I think we've seen enough footage at this point to where I got to be honest with you. I agree that whoever that is walking with something in their leg. I don't know if it's fully disassembled. I don't know if, it's not fully disassembled. If anything, what he did is he took the barreled action out of the stock. And I got 100 rifles over there. We build rifles for a living. It takes 2 bolts. You remove 2 bolts, you pull the chassis or the stock off the barreled action, you put it back on, and then you secure 2 more bolts. There's nothing hard about it. I know the next question will be, is it still accurate? Yes, I can take that gun right over there. I got a whole rack of rifles, custom rifles that we're getting ready to send out to clients. I can go zero those rifles, and I can pull the barreled action off with a scope on it. And now I have just the barreled action, and scope will be about this long. And then I have the stock that'll be about this long. And I put the stock in a backpack. It would take me all of, I don't know, less than a minute or about a minute to slap that back on, tighten it up, and shoot 140 yards. It's still going to be plenty accurate enough. He could have even taken the scope off in the mounts or the rings. Looked like he had some really shitty rings on there, and it didn't look set up correctly. But you could take that whole scope off in the rings, put them back on, tighten it back down to however he had it. Some are going to have a pick rail on there. Some of those are going to have separate scope mounts. However he had it, technically you could pull that off, put that back on, and it's still going to be zeroed enough to shoot at a man-sized target at 140 yards. Also, there's a helicopter footage that day. He was shot. Ian Carroll pipe is clearly visible on that video. It is interesting to see that there were police already on the roof. So I didn't see. So from the footage, and I think it's from Bartholomew's footage, and there may be some other ones too. What I thought was a police on the roof, he's actually just on that top walkway. I don't think there was actually ever any police on the roof. They were on the top walkway. It's basically the second story. It's, a walkway, a big area, the walkway area that goes all the way around that entire amphitheater area. That's where I saw the cop. I'm falling behind on some of the I don't know if I covered this one or not, so I'm gonna cover it. That's awesome, Henry. Thanks for helping Gary out. Nice to see Marcus J. Allen. Yeah, we saw that one earlier. Just wanted to show you some love, brother. Got kid duty. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. Can't wait for the Blissey report leak, LOL, and if it matches the 30-06, it's a miracle. Yeah, the ballistics are still the biggest challenge out of all this for sure. 90% of those college kids have headphones on. It's sad, but most city kids have zero survival instincts. Agreed. 19 Delta here. Awesome giveaway last live. Tools are nice. Training is better. Love to train with you here soon. Great job, UVU brother. Awesome, man. 19 Delta, Cav Scout, up in the house. On another channel, Gray claims he can see Tyler's fingerprints in dust. If that's true, what kind of lack of investigation happened? I don't know if you can see. I have to look at. He may have analyzed the video further. We looked at the video together that he took while we were there. I don't know if you can see fingerprints in it. You can definitely see his handprint. That being said, it doesn't mean they didn't collect fingerprints from that. I almost guarantee that they did. They saw where he jumped off. I think there's a little bit of a disconnect on that, right? So like, just because that streak is still there, which by the way, even like it was almost a month or so. I don't remember the timeline exactly, but about a month after Butler, we went and flew the drone on the rooftops over there. And we could see marks where it looked like crooks had climbed up still. And if you guys have ever, you know, it's that metal flashing around the edges is what we're talking about, and where those, and again, go check out Gray's video on there. If you guys aren't following Greg, go follow Gray. He does the absolute best job of laying out timelines, putting imagery in place, and just stitching it all together so that you can see one cohesive thing of what's taking place. And he, you know, puts the timelines of like different videos, pictures. He just does a great job with that. Better than anybody else that I've seen. If you want to agree with his conclusions or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, as far as the timeline goes, so that you know the exact timeline of how events occurred, you can disagree with whatever his conclusion is. It's fine. But you need to know the timeline, because people still don't understand the timeline. You know, on that metal flashing, folks, it's like a, I don't know, even on like my gutters and stuff, there's like a powder that accumulates there that you can wipe off, and that's exactly what it's there. And it will stay there even after it rains and everything else. It's like some real hard, it's the grime that you normally got to power wash off of metal surfaces like siding, the flashing around the siding, all that stuff. You can go up there and wipe it off, but until you power wash it off, you don't get it all clean. And whatever you wipe off, that imprint will stay there. So, you know, that's what we're talking about. Did you watch all of Bartholomew's video from the day of? Very strange happening to place a camera on a tripod near the corner right where the shooter jumped off. Seems to have had foreknowledge that this area would be key. I have watched Bartholomew's video multiple times. I don't know if I was looking at it from that perspective. We even had Adam Bartholomew on here. I will take another look at that, George. I think I know what you're talking about there at the end. The videographer, Jason Goodman, analyzed the footage and took a good base rating of what birds' insects look like versus non-flapping insects. Looks like drones were there. Air guns are light. Air guns are not light. Air guns are not light, and they're loud. Anything that's going to shoot a projectile with enough velocity to kill. I mean, go watch like that air gun. I looked it up. They're between like 90 and 110 decibels, or like 120 decibels, somewhere in there. You guys Google it right now. It is not quiet, and they are not light. You have to have enough compressed air to shoot. And so like most of the air guns out there now, I guess you could create something that only has enough air, compressed air for one shot. Like, the problem that I have with all that is you're asking me to completely discard so much of the evidence that we have to believe this other thing, to explain smaller missing pieces, to explain some things that we may not understand. You're asking me to take over this other theory that has more missing pieces and less evidence. Whatever hit Charlie Kirk, it had a lot of energy. Like it moved his whole body. That's not what you would see with an air gun. And so that's just that. There he is, Marcus
Boom.
Day out of the house. What's up, dude?
Hello, man. You're so awesome seeing this footage of you at UVU. I mean, it's like, I had the thought of like wanting to say it's kind of like we're like in a simulation, like where everything's happening online, then seeing you, someone I know now in this area, this location in real life. It's just cool. So I'm glad you're making the effort, and I have some questions for you. Maybe they were already answered, but main thing is the angle. Was the angle steeper? Was it 9 degrees?
I think it's probably going to end up being somewhere around 9 degrees.
Okay.
I think we'll know for sure once we get the 3D modeling done. We'll know exactly what the angle is, down to a very, I think we'll be able to get it down to a 1/10 of a degree. I think 9 degrees. I was looking at that long and hard, I had almost wished I had brought one of my laser rangefinders where I could actually get a true, but at the end of the day, I don't know how much that matters. And it would just be one more weird thing that the university would be seeing me do, because they were watching us pretty hard.
Yeah, I bet they were kind of freaked out by everything you were doing. I mean, they're probably just on alert in general. I mean,
they are. And it wasn't just me there. There was a lot of people there. I mean, I bet 30% of the people at campus, or at least in the courtyard area, all the places that matter, like probably 30% were visitors. So there's a big memorial set up. I got videos of that just to the left of where Charlie was, to his 9 o'clock. There's a whole area over there that's set up for a memorial. Very nice. They have a memorial just as you turn into campus as well, a bigger one, but they have one right there in the courtyard. So yeah, I think that looked about right, to be honest with you. Interesting.
Okay, that's super surprising, because at 9 degrees just seems shallow. But if you're saying in person, that kind of matches up. Although you were saying a lot of, in general, some of the other aspects of it, like size, ratios of things, it was a lot different being there in person, right?
It was crazy how close everything actually looks. Like, I'll just tell you right now. So like, I know I've heard very competent, very smart people also propose the idea that the shot was taken from the rooftop to Charlie's left. There's basically a trees there. There's the waterfall area, and there's a gap between the trees. That roof is sloped upward. So if you were going to take a shot from that, you would have to expose your head and shoulders and the full barrel of the gun. And Marcus, I'm telling you, man, that looks like the other side of your room. Like it's so close, and that person would be silhouetted so much, and it's so much easier to see that it is absolutely inconceivable that somebody could have taken a shot from that location and not be seen. And I'll say the other thing too is like the infamous bush area, right? The infamous bush over here,
side
to the right side, to Charlie's 4 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, you could throw a baseball over there. It's so much closer than we perceive it to look on here. And I'm telling most of the people out there, or even on the rooftop of that building, it is so close. The idea that anybody was exposed enough to take a shot and not be seen by the thousands of people there, and both of those areas are so exposed. Like, to me, it's so implausible.
Yeah, and like the theory that I get, and even from people I respect, like I'm having conversations with people on X, and people reaching out to me and telling me, hey, what do you think about this theory? What do you think about that? And still entertaining, trying to entertain the second shooter theory. My whole thing is, if there was a second shooter, wouldn't they be shooting from? And the idea of a second shooter is like assurance, right? If this is a conspiracy, then the second shooter presumably would be more competent, more of a professional, someone who's like there to guarantee the job's going to get done.
Yeah, that would be.
Then it doesn't line up with some of these type of locations you're talking about, where they're more exposed, more silhouetted. Having two incompetent shooters, one who's a patsy and one who's not, it's just that to me is where I start to get distance from, kind of distance myself from the theory. I'm like, okay, you're going too far out. We got to get back to reality, because why would you have two shooters and both of them are acting incompetently? You know what I mean?
the other thing too is like the contradictory trajectory. Like, why would you create a patsy that has one trajectory and then the actual shooter would be shooting from a different trajectory? To me, that is one of the biggest problems with some of the stuff. Now, what I will say, if we play this out, to me, the only other place that I thought was conceivable that somebody could be would be the computer science building. And that is in line, directly in line. And I'm not 100% sure because it's further back. It is taller, but it is further back. I'm not 100% sure there would be a line of sight to Charlie. I couldn't tell. I think there is. We'll be able to tell that from the 3D modeling. But I wish people could go there and experience it for themselves, because I think that if they were there, some of these ideas, I think people would realize, like, there's no way it's just not possible or plausible. So there's that.
Yeah. The first place you were talking about, through the trees, is that like the Chris Martenson theory area you were talking about? Okay. Just trying to get my head wrapped. I'm in Google Earth right now trying to figure out where that computer science building is.
Oh, it's right behind. It's right behind the proposed location of Tyler Robinson.
Behind.
Yep, it's behind and taller.
I see. Where the
arched roof,
where the FBI camera was, or the FBI released building camera was that gets him coming off the roof.
Let me pull this up. I'll share my screen real quick. Let me pull these. I got like multiple.
I don't mean to throw off your mojo or your
no.
So just go ahead and cut me off anytime if you got to get back to your schedule or whatever.
No. I'm good, man. Okay. It's so much easier to talk to you than just talk to this camera and come up with shit to talk about anyhow.
Okay, so, sweet.
Anything, you bailed me out.
That's what I'm here to do.
That's right, man. All right, so I'll show you what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
And
all right. Nice.
So this is what I'm talking about right here.
Yeah. That it's so close. There'd be so many people around you who could hear the gunshot, like you're saying. I don't care what it is, silenced, air gun. It's going to be loud.
Yeah, I mean, looking around, because the area where Charlie was actually walled off, right? You couldn't. So you could walk right up to. You could walk up right up to this. Actually, you could walk up right up to where the grass was, right? But all of this everything else was kind of sectioned off, and cops were watching you. There was two law enforcement officers just in this courtyard. I saw them walking around here and everything else. So they were patrolling the area, and they were definitely keeping an eye on us in particular. So, but standing right here, basically I could stand right here. And from there, the line of sight, it looked like, let me back out of here a little bit. So that was really the only other building that I saw that gave me a line of sight right here, possibly.
Gotcha.
And so if they were either on this roof right here, or this roof right here. But again, the problem with this is from the sides, because these roofs are arched, you'd be very exposed from the side. So, but here's the thing, to play devil's advocate, like this is more exposed. This whole area was much more exposed than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because again, these are the steps that we came up, right? So we came up these steps. You're right here. Right here is this dividing wall. There's a little handrail right along here that you can jump right over. This little divider wall is probably 3 feet. The handrail is probably around 3 feet. And I know it wasn't like a normal typical school day, but there's like anybody along this area or up in, and I think this is a parking garage. I may or may not be correct on that. But this whole area right here, it's the parking garage, because this is where the camera is. And it's a computer science building area. I don't know. So anyways, but anybody over here has full view of the roof. Full view of the roof. So that was one of the things, one of my biggest takeaways with this was, like, it was crazy that he wasn't seen. It was crazy that he was so exposed, and it was crazy that he got off that roof. Yeah, I mean, you know, that he was able to do that. But folks, I'm telling you right now, like this area right here where the bush was and all that stuff, like, like you can throw a baseball, and you don't even have to have a good arm. Like this is so ridiculously close that if you were standing here and you were like, could somebody have taken a shot from this rooftop and not be seen, or from this landing and not be seen? You would find it ridiculous. You really would. I mean, or at least I did. And the same thing with this area up here, because this roof is sloped upward, that person would have to get to the very edge. They would literally almost have to hang off the edge of this roof and to be able to get the shot on Charlie here.
Man, it's great having this conversation with you now that you've actually been there, and you can bring that perspective of like, yes, no, that was definitely way too close, way too open. That conviction that now that you can add to the conversation, having been there, is pretty cool. One question I have for you, Gary, is the path that you walked. I was watching earlier in the stream, you showed a little bit of video of you walking through the tunnel, through the parking lot. Why do you think he took that roundabout way now that you've walked it? Do you have any theories of why he would have took that roundabout way, walking through the campus, rather than just kind of beelining it straight to
that's
the way that he exfilled, right? Kind of running across the, you know, jumping off the roof, running to the street, going to the forest. Why didn't he just enter that way, going straight to that stairwell that you went up that goes, you know, direct access to that point in the roof?
So the question would ultimately be, hopefully I didn't lose you and you didn't lose me. My internet's not working well tonight. Can you hear me, Marcus?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah. So the question would be, why did he take a path that took him through that tunnel? Because that is kind of the decision point there. Because from that tunnel, there's not really a direct path to the stairwell that takes him up to the roof. There's a couple of different ways he could have gotten there. None of them are there's no straight line there. Yeah, so that part I don't know.
Can I share my Google Earth screen?
Yep.
And just clarify my question. You can hear me okay?
Yep.
So today, here we go. So today I saw earlier in the stream, you showed the video of you walking, and where is that? Oh, here. There's the tunnel right there. So you walked that out down the street, through the tunnel, then through the campus, up here, all the way through here. And you're just, you know, going through so many cameras, so many chances of you running into people, getting caught, running through security. Why would he go through that roundabout way rather than just coming through the neighborhood and cutting straight here?
Well, so when you cut through the way that he exfilled, you're going through people's backyards. Like I have footage of that path. Like you walk up through people's backyards. So that could have been the problem. Now I walked through that person's backyard, I think like right here. Yeah. And you know, I basically got up. What you don't see is the embankment. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could even just play that video for you real quick. If you wanna...
Before you do that, is there any way to the stairwell through this side of the building, or do you have to go around?
No, you can go that way. There's
through
doors
here?
Open. Yeah. Because we came out those doors. We came out that way at one point. So we walked through that way.
You guys,
like we don't know his path past the stairwell going up where he's actually filmed on camera, right? Like from there we lose him.
There's an affidavit that I read where I'm pretty sure it talks about him coming through, was it the north, coming around through here, the north side of the building, then looping around and then entering through the northeast side corner, which would be here. But that was just one line in affidavit, and I could be wrong. Then I've seen other places where they're speculating that he did come the roundabout way, like you demonstrated today. So I'm just throwing that out there.
It's me from the point where we see him walking up the stairs, and any time after that until we see him on top of the roof, Everything in between there is speculation on my part.
These stairs, right over here.
Yes. Yep.
You're talking about. Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. I just want to get on the same page as you. Basically, see if you have any missing or basically information that fills the gaps that I have. So okay, basically on the same page. And did you say you had some embankment footage?
Yeah. So that area along where he goes to the wooded area, right? Like once you
Over
go off
here.
the road, you're in a defilade, and then you got to go up an embankment. So you can walk right along this road and not even be in view of the vehicles right there. I know it's hard to see.
I see.
I'm gonna pull this off. Move from the studio and.
Well, Garrett, while you're pulling that up, I'll just to the audience, the one thing I'm looking at right now, before I kind of put out another video talking about where I'm at, is because I want to know, was this photo of the rifle that was released by, I forget which news network released it first. It was not released officially by the FBI.
I think it was New York Times.
New York Times. I think you're right. Is it? Some people are saying they use that photo as a representation, as a kind of a filler, that it's not the actual photo. And some people are saying it is, that the FBI has kind of endorsed it, and or at least hasn't, they haven't corrected it. They haven't come out with a statement saying, no, that isn't the rifle. And why is it so hazy of whether that rifle that we have, that picture of the Mauser that looks like a Remington 1700, that doesn't look like a Mauser. Why do we not know if that's actually the rifle or not? Because that could solve everything. What if that rifle is not the actual rifle? What if it is a smaller caliber? And then all of a sudden it opens up a whole new window of possibilities and solves this 30-06 dilemma that why the wound is so small. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking at right now.
Why we don't have an exit wound?
Maybe that picture, that rifle is not the actual rifle. Maybe.
The problem with that, if that's true, then they're displaying some real incompetence, because they specifically mentioned 30-06 in the charging document.
Yep.
So I mean that presents.
All right, folks. So that house right there with that green door. Zoom in a little bit here.
Let me just.
Okay, there was surveillance.
Oh, this isn't the right footage. I haven't went through this footage.
Gotcha.
Let me remove that, and I will release this. I'll brighten it up, and other than that, try to edit it the least amount possible. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah. All right. So here we go. So this is crossing
the road right here.
He went through the rocks in my
Oh, wow.
All right, we're clear. He crossed the road right here, ish.
Very different than what I would imagine.
Yeah. They were right down in here.
And if you go down there,
So just so you guys know, like this wooded area is extremely steep, and there was only one spot. I'll show it. It looks like
it
where
goes
he
right
put
into people's
hid.
yards. So it's like, I don't know
Wow.
how you would have found it. Maybe put him in there.
Yeah. Maybe hit it over in here somewhere.
There's a little brush pile that we're looking at right there. Like that's the only thing where I could see in this whole area where it looked like it's where I would hide a rifle. I was going to hide a rifle. But once you go up that embankment, you're literally in people's backyards.
Wow.
So I'll fast forward a little bit.
That might be exactly where he put him. So this is where they came down, right around.
Now, do we think that he actually went up there and then went through?
Yeah, see,
All right. So what you guys can't see is there's fresh sticks and things cut. It looks like basically it looked like this area had been trafficked. So if they were processing a crime scene, like that's what it looked like to me. But again, that's speculation on my part.
Walk back over this way. Yeah. Yeah, well, folks, we're in a defilade, and this, if he was walking down in here, it would keep everything hidden from view of vehicles as they pass by.
Now there's a little pathway over here that we come to.
I'll let you go because there's no, I'm not in front of you.
All right. So this goes in the back behind the neighborhood, and there is a pathway. I don't know. They're screaming at us.
So anyways, I go up these stairs, and I'm literally trespassing in somebody's backyard.
See, and that goes up in the yard.
Yeah.
To the left is where the construction was, where the guy with the excavator.
So it goes right up through the side of someone's yard, for sure. All right. What's that? All right, we're just gonna walk it.
Oh, I think I see where you're at.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're an excavator operator.
So this was actually the house that we flew the drone from later on. And we just went in the back of that thing. We could see the entire campus. It was, nobody was there.
Nice.
So it must have been, maybe you climbed over that fence.
Yeah.
But then where do you go after that? You'd have to go up that hill over there.
So I'm just walking through the neighborhood at that point. We're trying to figure out, because we find a couple different spots where he's seen again on footage, walking through that open area and behind the construction area.
No, that's really cool. I mean, that gives a lot of information, and I'm just re-looking at the route myself and just kind of making little changes to what I thought and speculated versus, okay, what makes more sense. That if I was him, I would be running towards something like that, just covering concealment, get out of the view of get out of an open area, get covered and concealed. And then there's that TMZ video of him taking a pause behind that camera, the security camera that captures him walking to the event where we see the limp. There's that TMZ video later on where he's walking back, but he's a little bit further back in the frame behind the house. You know what I'm talking about? So that way you're kind of walking, kind of would lead him that direction. But he pauses in that back area, which currently leads me to believe he would have stashed the rifle somewhere around there where he pauses. But that's a little further away than where you're at just now with that video. So he would have hiked a little bit of a distance, or at least ran with the rifle. That's my current thinking. Do you know what I mean? And does that align with yours, or any holes that you have that you can fill for me?
No, the only thing I can think of is that he wanted to get rid of that rifle as soon as he could. So once he got to a concealed area on the other side of that road, I think it makes sense that he would want to ditch that rifle, cache that thing where he can come back and get it later, because he knows he has to walk a significant distance. He knows there's police going to be, or in his mind, there's going to be police and everybody else looking for him, looking for someone with a rifle. And I think it would only make sense to ditch that rifle as soon as possible. So that's what makes sense to me. Melissa, I think a lot of this, hopefully, a lot of things changed my mind as far as, the size of the place, what I thought was reasonable different locations. Like some of that stuff really narrowed down for me once I was there. Gary, I have a Winchester 30-06 CRX1 for dogs and whatnot, not to penetrate. What do you think? I don't know. I mean, if we end up with a different rifle, I mean, it could look different than what we see in the picture, right? I just don't think that a 30-06 which was originally reported and then just happens to show up in charging documents, I don't think they'd be that sloppy. I mean, even if you're a conspiracy theorist, right? Even if you think, hey, this was a conspiracy, I don't think. I don't.
They would be exposing themselves so easily with such a silly mistake.
Yeah. There were 6 security guards working with Turning Point today. They were all on the roof pass closer to the pavilion. They also had issue getting more officer hired for years now. Okay. Yeah, Jessica was is actually a student there. I met her.
Cool.
Gary, did you receive the clip I sent you? Oh, yes, Henry, I did. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. I've been on the planes all day since I left like 5 a.m. this morning. It was an almost 2-hour drive here with traffic. I literally had time to sit down and throw some stuff together for a show tonight.
You're a dang machine.
Love your channel. Please have Baron Coleman on your show. I will happily do that. Mike Oliver, thank you. Mike Oliver, thank you very much. With the large glass windows, I'm wondering if some people inside the building saw him jump. Thoughts? So that is actually, it's funny you mentioned that. That was actually the dean's office. So the funny thing is, that's where we almost got kicked off campus. We were hanging out there. It was me, Gray Hughes, Gardner, and Eric, and we were all hanging out right there by that. We can't see through that reflective glass, but apparently that was the dean's office. And so she called the cops on us, and the cop came over and was like, "Hey, come over here." He's like, "Hey, that's the dean's office right there. She thinks you're peering into her window and taking pictures and photos in the window." And like, we can't see through the window. We didn't know someone was on the other side of that. We were like, okay, so yeah, they could have saw him jump, maybe. Definitely, those are offices. If they were in their office, they would have seen him. Wish I could have flown us in a little bird, let you drop the drone wherever you wanted, and probably wouldn't even need it with the new
Jack Sparrow.
Survival should be mandatory subject to schools. I agree. I mean, let's just start off with learning how to change a tire. Like 80% of the men out there can't change a tire these days. Read me. True. Hitman behind backdrop, behind muscular security guard who went from ear pain from the shot back at Charlie's head, exiting neck. All right, so this is the Trigger Smart. I'm assuming that you're building off the Trigger Smart. Oh, Stephen Gardner's in the chat. You know what? I'm going to send Stephen Gardner an invite, and he's welcome to jump on here too.
Awesome.
That was 20 minutes ago, but let me see if he is available.
That'd be great.
If he's still watching.
Hive mind this.
What a great guy. Steven is awesome. If you guys aren't following his channel, go follow him. He's only got 2 million followers. He's a little scrub YouTuber.
Once you got an opening in the after you get through some comments, I got a question for you, Gary.
Yeah, go ahead and send it.
Okay, so I haven't seen if you put out anything since Candace put out the video. If I'm sure you've seen it, at least clips where she said that she has 100% confirmation he was shot from the front, and that she points out exactly where the round was recovered, at least a part of it. Have you seen these clips?
No, I haven't seen those clips. But me and Steven were talking about it. He'd seen it. We were sitting on campus yesterday. Like, I got to campus at like 9 a.m. and I didn't leave till 7 p.m. Well, we left campus probably around 4:30, but then we went up to that house to fly a drone, and we were doing that for almost 2 hours. So okay. I literally all I was doing yesterday was I was at the campus. Before that, I was flying in, went to sleep, woke up early, and I've been doing nothing ever since. So
gotcha, cool.
I'm catching up on some of that stuff.
So that's the big thing right now that people are hanging on to is, and I'm getting a lot of questions, is Candace has come out and said it was definitely not a 30-06, like 100%. She's back, to this very definitive language, which I'm very skeptical of. So then I went to go watch the podcast as much as I could, and I'm mainly concerned with those parts of the conversation because I don't got time to watch an hour of her talking. But she was saying she's been sitting on this information for about a week. She spoke to many sources. She got 100% confirmation he was shot from the front, and then 100% confirmation of where they recovered the fragment. and she points that there was definitely no exit wound, definitely shot from the front, and the fragment was a small piece of the round. Her specific language is they recovered at least a part of the round, or at least a fragment or something like that. And then she says, because her logic, and if anyone in the chat if I'm misunderstanding this, let me know. She basically jumps from that to so that, and therefore it's definitely not a 30-06. But recovering a fragment doesn't rule out what round it is. Oh, she also points out that on the death certificate, there's no indication of what the round was used. And so if it was a 30-06, they would have written that down. So
Stephen Gardner addressed that. So he has a video with a mortician. I haven't watched it. He's just telling me about it. The mortician says they never write down the caliber of the round.
There you go. I saw something like that too.
I mean, like they can't look at that round and like they're not ballistic experts. All they can say is, hey, there's a fragment of a round, and they turn that over to FBI or somebody that's going to do the ballistics work on that, right? And the forensic work on that. So, I mean, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
But, so that's I just wanted to throw it out there for not only for you to hear, but if you had an answer to hear it, but also for anyone here in the chat, because I'm getting a lot of questions. So I want to kind of dispel this, because Candace says it was definitely not a 30-06, 100%, but they only found a fragment, and a fragment's a fragment's a fragment. I mean, round fragments look the same. So I don't know how you could tell exactly where round it came from if you just are going off of finding a fragment.
I mean, maybe she's saying that there was, okay, so we know that, at least at this point, we're working under the information that no round left his body. So, I mean, I guess maybe she's saying that there was such a small amount of bullet fragments in the body that it's not enough to equal to a 30 caliber round. Maybe that's where she's coming from. I'm just being as charitable as I can be. I don't know how she would know that definitively one way or the other. You know, I also don't know what she's been told. Maybe she was given more information, just related poorly. I don't know.
Okay.
But I agree with you in that. Look, one of the biggest problems throughout all of this, just because you say something with confidence doesn't mean it's true. All right. And I'm probably guilty of it. And I know a lot of other YouTubers and other people that are commenting on all this stuff. Like, people say things with certainty, and therefore there's a lot of people in the audience that are going to take that and be like, oh, you know, this is now gospel, right? This is now 100% fact. And it's not. It's not. Until we see evidence, we don't have that much evidence, right? And this is one of the things Ryan Mata asked me to come on to their chat this afternoon. And that's one of the things that I brought up is like, one of the guys on there, Sam, I forgot what his name was asking, you know, why do we have all this crap footage? Basically, that was and the reality is that's exactly what we have, folks. We have the worst footage. It's the footage that the FBI didn't want. That's what we're left with, because I think anybody out in that crowd that has any evidentiary footage that shows anything definitively, that footage was turned over to the FBI, and now those people are eyewitnesses. All right, so, because what they're going to do is they're going to have that footage. They're going to play that in court. And now they got to substantiate that footage to the person that took the footage. Like, did you take this? Where were you? Where were you standing? So I guarantee you they're now subpoenaed and or under a gag order, and they can't release that footage to the public. So that's what we're left with. All the good footage is in the hands of authorities. And that's just how that's going to work.
I mean, it makes sense. It's unfortunate, but it makes sense. And the internet rewards conviction and people who speak with certainty. And I think that's one thing I've learned is as I work on building, like I want to make YouTube videos. I love making videos. I want to do this thing and be successful online, but I also have to be careful with myself, because I can see that what the internet wants is people who are highly convicted, people who are just certain with their opinions and speak in a way that demands authority, and it's rewarded. It's rewarded financially. It's rewarded in follower count, but I can't let myself do that, because my training and my integrity knows that, like you were saying earlier in the stream, I could be freaking wrong, man. I could be so wrong. And oh, here we go.
Steven, what's happening, buddy?
Hey, sorry. I'm can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can see you.
Yes.
You look,
Okay.
You look like you're coming to us from a horror movie. I feel like
Sorry, let me try to lean into the light. I'm just dropping my daughter off to dance here. But you guys are putting on a great show. If I can help answer any questions from meeting you and going through the campus for a second time, I'm happy to contribute.
Yeah, well, one of the things that that Marcus and I were just discussing that you and I talked about while we were on campus was Candace Owens saying that, hey, they retrieved portions of the fragments of the bullet, and she goes from that to jumping to, hey, it's definitely not a 30 caliber round, and also she talked about, you know, the caliber of the round wasn't put on the death certificate, so therefore. Whatever. I don't know what she concludes from that, but you and I were talking about that. You had the mortician on and you said that they don't do that. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I reached out to Joseph Scott Morgan, who was the head of the examiner for all of Atlanta, Georgia. He's done over 7,000 autopsies. He said they never put the weapon or the bullet on a death certificate. That would be in the autopsy, which will come out 6 to 8 weeks after Charlie died. So the death certificate would say something like gunshot wound, or bled out from gunshot wound, or hemorrhaged from neck or head from gunshot wound. And then he sent me about 7 examples. I can't share them with you, but anyway, that's what he said to me. I then sent that over to Lauren, the mortician, and she said, yeah, Candace is confusing a death certificate with an examiner's report or an autopsy.
Yeah, because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. A death certificate is just a legal document verifying that a person died and then what they died from. That is not meant to be used in evidence in a court case, correct?
Yeah, it's mostly for like closing bank accounts, proving somebody died, collecting Social Security, maybe joint tenant, getting the mortgage put over into your name or a deed put over into your name. So it's just more of a legal document.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they don't need the specifics of the round don't need to be on a document like that.
Yeah, I mean, like he said, all those things and insurance claims and things like that.
That will be in the autopsy, though. They're going to say there was this kind of gun, this type of bullet. Here's where we found the bullet. Here's where we found the fragments. There's going to be X-ray showing that, and that metal will just shine like a star, according to what was shared with me.
Well, that's interesting. Well, you've at least listened to part of this. You were getting your priorities all wrong and dropping your daughter off over watching this, but that's okay. I forgive you.
I was doing both.
Anything that we cover that you feel like you could add or opine on?
Let's see. Oh, Marcus, there was something I was trying to type, but also drive safely. I also saw a local article here in Utah where it said that he comes up out of the parking garage where we get the first photos of him. He crosses down an alley where the food trucks back in to deliver food to the cafeteria. He then cuts in front of the Losi building on the north side. And then he comes down the east side of that. And right there's a breezeway where you can walk in and then go into a computer area, or you can walk down that long hallway towards the computer science building. You can then also walk right. If you go straight, you pop right out the other side, which is where the stairs are.
Can I pull up the Google Maps
pull that up.
And follow you so everybody else can see it as well? I'm doing it on my computer, but I might as well share it because this is great. This is what I wanted to know. So you're talking, here's the east side. This is the Losi building, correct?
That is the Losi building, correct.
And here's the north is here. We got east side. So you were talking about coming around this side.
Yeah, the article that I read said that he came around there, and then you see where the red tiles come to the Losi building, and there's like a dark gray roof.
Here?
See, those are, right there. Those are glass doors. You can walk in, and then you cross under that big red tile, and
Okay.
you pop out the other side where that staircase is.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And this is what, Gary, what you came up this in that footage that
Yep.
you
I
showed
came out
earlier.
those doors in that video, and I walked right up those stairs.
Okay, now I'm tracking. So that makes the most sense. So because in your video, Gary, you came up this side, right?
Yes.
Basically,
No. So
up this embankment,
no, we walked.
or you came through here, up this pathway.
No, I came. We just walked into the building, up that pathway, and then walked into some doors.
Yeah.
Over there. I have to look at it again.
Yeah, I remember you came up this
I walked it
pathway.
different paths in different ways. It's all kind of blurring together at the moment.
Gotcha. I'm pretty sure you came up this pathway because this is where that person disappears in the footage, like the people we're talking about, and then you debunk that, and then like Steven's talking about, he comes around this side. I'm just curious why he didn't just immediately come from here and just go straight here rather than through the tunnel, up the parking garage, exposing himself to all the people, security people, cameras. Why not just come around this way, the way he exfils? I just want to answer that for myself.
Can you, I'll answer that for you. Can you go
Please.
down there on the map?
Down where?
Down to where 800th Street connects to the tunnel?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know how much you can zoom in. Okay, you don't see it right there, but when you come down 800th Street, there's a chain link fence. So he either had to go way uphill where he escapes, or he can cross down into that little parking lot and go through the tunnel.
Yep.
So he's literally blocked by a fence that this map is not showing. And Gary, you would have seen that because I believe you were on 800th Street.
Yep. Yeah, there's a fence. There's a fence right there along the walkway there. Now he would still, so to add a little bit of context too, he could have taken that path, like even that I walked up that embankment, right? But the problem is, again, he's having to walk through people's yards, and he may have already known that there was people outside in that area. I don't know what he did as far as a recon prior to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But from here, Steven or Gary, why not go this way? Why go through the parking structure, through all the complications of the campus?
So there's a fence right there. You see where that red car is? That whole length right there is blocked off by a fence. You just can't see it, or it's not in this imagery.
So the fence goes up the grass. No, there's no way to cross. That's why he goes through the tunnel.
Oh, cool. There you go.
And then, yeah, another thought that I have is, if let's say he came out the other side of the tunnel, and then he decides to go up that building that you're showing towards the Losi building, he's exposed on that main road, trying to walk with a rifle in his pants, supposedly, right? But if he goes up that road, there's almost nobody walking right there, because that's a street that is only for backing up semi trucks to bring in food to the cafeteria. So there's not a lot of foot traffic on there. That's why I think he went up that way.
Gotcha. It is, that does make sense. Using cover and concealment, and just not being in an open, exposed, not walking through an open exposed area like a road or something it does make sense.
Or
just,
drawing attention to himself by cutting through people's backyards.
That's that for sure. But at the risk of coming up face to face, like you were showing, Gary, with security cameras, like there's cameras right in your face all the way through. So again, it's just very ballsy, but he freaking did it. I mean, it's clear enough. That's what he did. Just trying to rationalize backwards why he made those choices, to try to get the psychology and see if we could find any obviously things that are wrong with the official story, just to poke holes. But I mean, this is being you're helpful, Steven, with what you're saying. It's definitely helping me
Well, the
make
other
sense
thing
of it.
too is once you're on campus, I mean, there's security cameras everywhere. Like you're not dodging the security cameras. And that's one of the things that I meant to do, but because of kind of the issues that we ran into, we ran out of time, and then I got distracted. I wanted to go around and make sure I got photos and videos of all the security cameras. Most of that will be in the drone footage indirectly, but I wanted to kind of locate them directly. But I mean, there's security cameras all over the place.
Now the next question for me is, did he really do enough reconnaissance and surveillance to have this all mapped out ahead of time by himself? Or did he have somebody else telling him, hey, Charlie's going to be here. We've got a location. Does anybody in this Discord chat have the resources to pull this off? Can we get a volunteer? And then, and I've got the plan. We just need someone with this and that. And then, planning, right? I want to investigate that to the best of my ability, because I think there's a high likelihood that whatever Discord channel he was in possibly had somebody who helped him plan this, because it's pretty intricate. To do this all on the day or on the whim, or even with just a week of planning, is still pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, I think at a minimum, I mean, he had to have walked that. And now what I will say is, if they're having an event there, the way that venue is set up, like, almost where that person is going to be. Now, figuring out a line of sight to that spot, I mean, it's hard, but it's not. Like, I think the average person could walk that campus for 10 minutes and kind of figure that out. And especially when you have such easy access to the roof, which, that's one of the things I was like, I already saw this on the map. I saw the imagery. I knew what it was. But when you walk up to those stairs, you go right up to the top, it's still a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy that he would have by himself, not even being a student here, have been here enough and been familiar enough to do all that by himself. But maybe. But
yeah, I put out a video tonight, and I asked the same thing. I said, he either had to walk this and really plan this out, or somebody who's good at this had to help him do that. So I don't know that he planned it alone. It does seem that he executed it alone, but just me being there, like, I could figure it out because I had been studying the map to try to figure out all the Charlie Kirk death stuff. But until I actually went there 2 weeks later, and I shared this with Gary, I was blown away. Like, just looking at a map, you wouldn't know the topography, how elevated, all the different levels, where to cross through, how to get up on the roof, that a sidewalk is really a roof. But once you have that all figured out, I mean, he literally just like steps over a tiny wall, runs out for 12 seconds, lays down for less than 2 minutes, takes a shot, and runs for his life. But, I think Gary said that, like, everything up until the shot seemed really planned, and everything after the shot seemed like, I don't know what to do, but I got to get away from here.
Yeah. Well said. Having, me and Gary coming from the military background, is admin and logistics is a necessary and huge component to a successful mission. I mean, making sure everything is in alignment and works out, and that you have the right caliber weapon, and you have the right resources, you have the right timing, the availability, you are getting through all these areas and dodging security, you're dodging people, all these variables you can't control. It's to do this by yourself is required, would require a lot of planning. It's easy in hindsight to look at this and be like, I can see it, but having the foresight before this happens and to make it happen, it takes a very intricate level of planning.
Well, the other part of this too is, and look, I think the idea that he did this completely alone, I think that at least other people didn't know about it. I think there's almost no chance of that. That being said, one benefit that he did have is he had the option to cancel it at any point. And, if he decides that he's going to go try this and he doesn't run into any resistance, I mean, and clearly he didn't. But I agree with everything that both of you are saying. Like, it seems like he knew what he was doing. He seems like he was familiar with the campus. I don't know if anything will come out where he had been there before, had been there many times for other events or whatever else. He clearly didn't. There's no record that he ever attended there that I've heard of. Have you heard anything like that, Stephen?
Well, the text messages, which I have mixed feelings on, I believe they said something like, "How long have you been planning this?" And he said about a week.
Yeah.
And then within a week, he was complaining to family, "Oh, Charlie Kirk's coming. I hate that guy." You know.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Mark?
Yeah, it'll come back to me. Let me think about what it was.
Let me answer some of these other super chats real quick. Salute, Mr. Gary 11 Bravo. In my opinion, Tyler's the gunman. It's a bigger conspiracy. Allegedly, Italian mafia, military, government joined during JFK MLK hit. All right. I'm about 45 minutes from live, behind on live. If you can use it, I can probably help you with modeling needs. I have used SolidWorks regularly. Absolutely. If you shoot me an email, DLPodcast@ParamountTactical.com, or just DM me on X. I would love your help with that. If we can get some modeling done so that we make sure that we get a representation of the canopy and everything that that are things that we're not going to have in the 3D model. We want to make sure we get that right, without a doubt.
One thing it came back to me is that I'm looking for, in the future, at whatever point the FBI decides to release this stuff, presumably after the case is closed and everything, is there should be footage that I would very, very much expect him having walked this before and seeing security cameras, maybe that same security camera weeks before, of him on that rooftop walking all the way up to the point where he's going to shoot. Which, that is it a trespass area, Gary? I know now it's blocked off with the camera and the fence because of everything that happened. But do you think before this all happened that someone could have just hopped that and walked on the roof and not been stopped by security, say a week prior?
I mean, short of that, I mean, nothing's stopping us from doing it now. I mean, they have that camera thing there. I mean, obviously they'll be able to respond quickly, but I mean, I could still get out to that point before they get up there. And clearly they didn't have that level of surveillance on there to begin with. So I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Stephen.
No, I did want to point out something. Maybe you guys covered this, but Gray, there was a gentleman there named Gray. He had a telescoping camera, and he put it up where Tyler Robinson jumped off, and there's very clearly a hand right there, and the fingerprints dragging if somebody's falling off the building. And then there's 2 or 3 what looks like towel marks that drag the dust. When I went out there the first time, there was actually a tape measure taped to the wall. And now that I've thought about it, I wonder if they're trying to tape from his hand to the length of the part dragged through the dust to see if he has the gun in his hand, because from what I remember, it was about 36 inches, maybe 40 inches. I have a picture of it. I can't share it here, but anyway, that was taken down when we were there and before the police asked us to leave. But anyway, it was really interesting to see that handprint, because they did talk about a palm print, and I thought maybe the palm print was on the gun, or maybe when he hops over that little partition and supposedly puts the gun together. But I thought that was really interesting to see that handprint for myself, and then to remember that tape measure that was taped to the cement right there, as if they were trying to measure something that was about 40 inches long.
Yeah. David Patterson, what do you think about the video captures object flying directly from Charlie's wound area, captured in 3 different frames, bullet frag? No, I don't think that's bullet frag. If we're talking about the same thing, I think it's his necklace. And
I think he's talking about the lav magnet, the piece of black that disappears as it moves over. And
away from
basically, I mean, if that's what you're talking about, David, my answer to you would be that the shirt folds and hides it, and that's why it disappears. And it's just a kind of a bizarre case scenario that it happens to match around the wound area.
What distance could a drone take the shot from? Would 300 yards be too far, perhaps, from behind Tyler? It's probably a stupid question. It's not a stupid question, Dan. Like, look, I'll tell you right now, I don't know of any smaller drones that have the capability of that level of targeting where I don't know of any drones where they're mounting a small drone with a gun on it. All right. I'm sure those things exist. But again, like even that smaller drone that we had is very loud. And if you're talking about something that's going to carry a payload of a firearm, it's going to be like one of the larger quadcopters. Like you're going to see it. And like shooting, like one of those aerial platforms are not that stable. Like every little wind, I was watching, I used to own a drone. Like they're not that stable. Like they're constantly moving. It doesn't look like it when you're watching it because they got video stabilization built into that, right? But that thing is constantly moving with air currents. It's constantly changing the thrust vectors to stabilize it. Like I don't think the idea of somebody actually shooting somebody with a drone is, I'm not saying the capabilities aren't there. That's just a high level capability that if it was used, I don't understand why they would use it against Charlie. That's my problem with some of this stuff.
Steven, just a question for you when you got time, and you can, Gary, if you want to postpone this till later, go for it. But is there anything, since I've watched and kept up with most of your videos, and you've done a great job just articulating everything, and then bringing people together, different sources, and then combining it and presenting it. It's been really helpful for me to understand things. Is there anything that's changed in your current synopsis or position for what you think happened in a significant way from, say, a week ago till now?
Well, we did confirm that he was not wearing any kind of body armor. I knew that was floating around there, but until Gary said, maybe just ask Andrew over at Turning Point USA, and I thought, well, I'll just throw it out there. So some things that have changed for me, just after researching, looking at X-rays, looking at videos that other smart YouTubers have done. I don't know that Andrew Colvette has it correct that the bullet crashed into C2. I think it might be lower, like C4, C5.
Yeah.
And I think there could have been damage up the spine from the cavitation, or just, you can see his neck is hit with a tremendous amount of force.
Yeah. It's like all this blows up.
Yeah. And then, enough that it snaps his necklace. That's pretty crazy. But so I think there might be a misunderstanding on damage versus where the first impact was. So I'm open to that being a little bit different. Let's see what else.
That's all really great stuff.
Yeah, if I think of something else, but that was kind of the main one. Just after looking at it, obviously I think Candace Owens has it wrong about the medical examiner versus the death certificate. I think we're still waiting on that autopsy. I think, Andrew Colvette putting out that the bullet getting stuck in Charlie's thoracic vertebrae T1, that was a miracle. I think what he was trying to say was the people that didn't get killed behind Charlie, that was the miracle, not that his neck grabbed that. And then the Superman comment, I think, in death, you always want to present your friend well. I think it was a way of saying, like, wow. Because I guess if the doctor says, hey, I've seen a lot of gunshot wounds as a physician. I can't believe this one didn't blow out the back. It should have, and yet it didn't. So I don't know that I'm being lied to. Obviously now Candace, I don't know who she's getting info from, but they're also confirming what I had said many days before her. I don't sit on information like her. If I hear something, I share it right away. But obviously there's multiple sources saying that slug was found near the T1 vertebrae and that there were fragments. And again, I don't believe that they went digging around in his neck and found fragments. I believe the X-ray just showed that metal exactly where it was. So that's just a few things off the top of my head.
That's really helpful, actually. All that stuff a lot of that is new to me, and other things are just confirmation of things that I've had have been questions in my head. So thank you for that.
Oh, I did think of just one more. Sorry. Gary was down talking to somebody on the stairs where Tyler Robinson comes up and gets caught on that camera from the computer science building. I actually went into the computer science building, and I was able to get up on the same level. And for me, the thing that stood out was, oh, wow, with my eyes, with my own video camera, I can see right where Tyler Robinson would be laying. But then you guys were talking earlier, could that see down to where Charlie was? Where I was at, it could not. So now from the roof, which is another story taller, and then that dome-shaped thing, maybe that can see down to the grass. But from where I was, another story, actually maybe 2 stories up, I could not see the grass, but I could perfectly see where Tyler Robinson was supposedly laying in prone.
So the point of that, Stephen, you're saying if somebody was there, you don't think they would have a line of sight to Charlie? They would literally have to be on top of that roof.
And yeah, I have it on my screen.
Yeah, pull that up, because the other thing I thought is there's a bridgeway that goes between the computer science and the police department, actually. Yeah, so see, if we're still quite a bit higher than that roof. From here you can see where Charlie would be, but if you were sitting right on that roof, I think the building might actually be in the way.
Gotcha. But this is the line of sight you're talking about, right?
That's the line of sight. What I'm saying is, yeah, from Google Earth, there is a line of sight, but when you actually get there, I could not see any grass, but I could see where Tyler was laying.
Gotcha. Yeah, and Gary, you were talking about this dome, right? As potentially,
or even the one behind it. Even the one behind it. Because there's another one that's higher. Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay. But you'd be so exposed.
But yeah, you'd be extremely exposed. And what I don't know if I could tell from over there or not. It looks like there's like a satellite dish or something right there. So you may not even have a line of sight. But again, once we get the 3D model, we'll be able to play around with that with a little bit more precision.
Okay. Cool. Oh, it's great info, Stephen. Thank you.
Yeah, the only other place I could see that 100% had a line of sight was the top of the parking lot garage. And that would have put a bullet in the side coming through the vertebrae.
So it's to the left of where Charlie was, to his 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Nope. So look to your left there. Yep. So keep going. There's that brick structure further back. It's
red brick structure.
Here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, right there. That's the parking garage that Tyler Robinson comes through, and you can walk up to the top. I didn't see how to get up there, but from that particular view, there's a line of sight right to Charlie's neck.
I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but I think you'd have to be on that rooftop. We can see they have doors coming out of that brick structure. I don't think from where that door is. What do you think, Steve? I don't think there would be a line of sight from.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think you have to be up on the red brick building part of the parking structure.
I agree.
If you were right on that corner, I believe there's a line of sight. I can't prove that. So.
Gotcha.
But again, so then, okay, now from an audio perspective, where Tyler is laying, he's shooting into a bowl, which would make sense of the noise echoing.
Yeah.
If you're shooting from the parking garage or even the computer science building behind where Tyler was, I just don't think you would pick up on that echo.
Yeah.
I think it would sound very different.
Yeah. I
It's
agree.
definitely close. It sounds
And
close.
I talked to probably 4 different eyewitnesses on there. All of them said that they felt like that's where the shot came from, that direction. Now, Henry, and I'll probably not tonight now, we've been going 2 hours, but I will release his interview. And Henry was just on the right, just to the right of Charlie. And he said, basically, it didn't sound like a 30-06
Uh-oh.
to him. I got you.
There you go. Thanks.
It sounded like an AR to him. But what I also want to point out too, this was something I was thinking about as well. So Henry was actually he was right here. There's a little PVC pipe. So this is where Henry was. Now, some of the other people that I talked to, they were kind of over here. And of course we have the footage. We have the footage from Bartholomew, and he was over here. He was over here too. But the point is, one of the things that I noticed is we're definitely going to get, this whole area is going to echo like crazy, right? And the other thing that I hadn't really thought of till I was on campus was the fact that when we hear that gunshot, it's also going to be replayed through the PA system. So that's going to be even more confusing. That sound is going to reach Charlie's microphone, and it's going to replay through the speakers that were there. But one of the things I thought about that would definitely change the sound signature I think it's going to sound very different for anybody that's up here and down here versus somebody that is over here. And that's because we have this entire area that's blocking, and even where he was, even where Henry was, right? So right there. And I'm not saying this is for sure, but again, what I will say is that sound comes from here. It's being blocked and dispersed by a lot of this stuff over this way. So that's going to change the way that it sounds versus the people that are over in this area, this side of the amphitheater.
No doubt. Definitely. And Stephen, another question. Earlier in the stream, I asked about right now, the only photo that we have of the weapon in the cardboard box. Do you have any information more to add to what we were talking about? And if you missed that, it's just that trying to understand the validity of that picture. Is it the correct photo? Why was it released by the New York Post and not the FBI? And why has the FBI not come out and kind of confirmed that is the weapon?
Yeah, my understanding this whole time is that was the weapon inside of a FBI evidence collection box. So I guess it didn't cross my mind that wasn't the weapon. So I don't know the answer to that, but I have been reporting and believing that was the weapon in a FBI collection, box.
Me too. Just as a journalist and as an investigative journalist, like, what is the thinking of the FBI giving the photo to the New York Post to release it rather than the FBI releasing it with the footage and everything else? How do things like that happen?
That's a good question. Washington, D.C. is a weird animal because, like, for example, the Trump administration does not like Axios. They think it's a Democrat talking piece, but they'll occasionally leak info through Axios instead of Fox News or something. So I don't know. Daily Mail could have gotten something leaked to them, and then they post it, and then it gets quickly shared by others. The New York Post. So I don't know where that came from. And so I don't have an answer for you on that.
Well, I would say that's clearly not an official photo. I think that's an agent on site. That's probably an ATF agent, by the way, because I do know that was picked up from the FBI by the ATF to run that. And I think that's where that came from. So I think that was an ATF agent that just put pictures out. To give you an idea, when the Las Vegas shooting happened, there were law enforcement that their buddies worked at Las Vegas, and they had taken a bunch of pictures from inside the hotel room, and they leaked it to them, and then those guys leaked it to me like the next day. So I think that's just speculation, but
as I get into this kind of investigative journalist world, I'm very just perplexed by the amount of leaks and how they kind of just seem like they're just a part of the whole game of it. Like TMZ got this source footage to first release this, and then somehow they've people, different news sources want to be the ones to release something first, so they do some backdoor deals like, hey, I have a connection here, and I'm going to get the first, we're going to release it first on this. It's an exclusive, and I understand there's a monetary gain value to be the news outlet that has a connection with these, like the FBI or some insider information and things like that. But there is a game to it, it seems like, where the FBI wants to remain like impartial or separate itself by not officially releasing stuff, but they want the public to get it. So they have some relationships with the media. And I just find all that very interesting. So as just getting the chance to talk to you, Stephen, just wondering what kind of backdoor information you could give me to understand how that works.
Yeah, no. So I think each agency leaks stuff on occasion. Some people sell stuff, so like, for example, the Dallas ICE facility shooting, the bullets with the writing on them, that was leaked by like 8 a.m. So, I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason to it. I do know why they put out the photos of Tyler Robinson, and I know why they didn't put out crystal clear ones, and that's because if it wasn't him, they don't want anybody, to be harassed or death threats or anything like that. But they put out as clear as they could, hoping that somebody would recognize him. My understanding is the night before, there was a conference call where Kash Patel was yelling at hundreds of people, get me evidence, get me something. Like, I'm sure the president's breathing down his neck, the vice president's breathing down his neck. So that's when they decide that they're going to release a couple of photos and details in hopes of somebody knowing something. And it worked, because what we're told is his mother calls the father and says, I think that might be our son. And the father says, yeah, I think you're right. So then the mom reaches out and says, where are you? Oh, I'm at home sick, and I was sick yesterday. Oh, okay. That's weird. Then she calls the dad. The dad's like, well, hey, that looks like my gun. Hey, Tyler, send me a picture of Grandpa's gun. I don't have it right now. That gets a little bit suspicious, right? So then the dad is recognizing the gun and the son. The mom's saying, I think that's our son, and I remember washing that shirt with the American flag. He had mentioned to us he didn't like Charlie Kirk. I think this might be our son. And then they rush over to Lance Twig's place, and Lance Twig is so panicked. He's like, here's the computer, here's the cell phone. That's when they start getting those text messages. Now, whether those are scripted in order to make Lance look innocent, I don't know. But anyway, so again, I don't know if we're looking at the right gun, because look at the Trump Mar-a-Lago documents, right? Oh, he's just got classified information laying all over the hotel. Well, Then we find out a year later, the FBI made it look like that and then took a photo because they wanted it to look sloppy. So again, I don't know. It's hard to know what is true and what is propaganda.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to jump through a couple of quick questions, folks, because there's a pretty good question down here. I think it'd be great for all of us to hit. Grandpa's gun, could he say the DNA was prior use? I think that will be used by the defense. I don't know how well. Let's talk about that real quick, because folks, this is how they're going to match that rifle to this, or the projectile. If they have enough of that projectile, they'll get markings from the lands and grooves in that barrel. That is a direct fingerprint from that bullet to that barrel. So that's how if they have enough of that bullet to be able to do that. The other way that they're going to match the ammunition to the gun is also on the casing, right? So the brass casing, every time that you load up a piece of ammo into a gun and you close that chamber, there are markings that take place that are very unique just to the brass casing itself, as well as after you fire it, that actual case expands. There's markings on that again can be linked directly to the gun, as well as the firing pin hitting the primer. There's certain markings at the microscopic level that you can, so there's that. If they don't have enough bullet or projectile left to be able to get the lands and grooves on there, the other thing that they're going to do is they're going to be able to metallurgically match that projectile with the rest of the ammunition that they do have, that they're going to tie all that together. So if they have the right bullet and it came from that gun, they're going to be able to match that. Now, for those of you that, if you believe that the FBI is in on it, there's, you always have a way out of that. So I'll just leave that. Bronson said, did you pick up any UVU merch while you were there? No, I did not. Just a lot of photos, a lot of video. Why UVU make the changes to the scene? Opinions, Gary. I do have some opinions on this, and I would like, this is the question I wanted to get you guys' take on this. So first of all, I've heard a lot of people misstate that UVU changed out that scene, started doing renovations the next day. Folks, that is not true. Everything I say after this, you're welcome to come to your own conclusion, but these are facts. We talked to the law enforcement while we were there, and we asked him, how long did they have that scene secure? And he said multiple days. What we know is they did start a renovation on the 14th. So at least for 3 full days there, which quite frankly, I don't know how much forensic evidence was there, but 3 days for an FBI and or the Utah authorities to process that scene is more than enough. I mean, that's, again, that's a full 36 hours. There are about 24 hours of people on the scene, 8-hour days, 3 days, and they may have worked overtime. Stephen was telling me there was a guy that was arrested that was trying to break into that. That was a local news story you were telling me?
Yeah, you can pull this up, but a couple days later, there was a guy in scrubs and a white coat pretending to be a doctor. And he snuck into the crime scene and was taking photos and trying to find something. And that story didn't really make a lot of attention outside of local Utah news where I live. But if you just search man arrested, Charlie Kirk, crime scene, you can see him walking out. Now, there is a police officer holding a gun too. Now, I don't know if that was his gun or not. That would be really stupid to show up to a crime scene with a gun, but either way, he is handcuffed and taken away. And the other thing with that police officer, he was saying, listen, I really can't tell you much, but you were like, were they processing for multiple days? And he's shaking his head. I can't say, and were they using lasers and doing ballistics and measurements? I can't say, but his body language is answering us on accident, so he was a really nice guy. I decided not to film anything because I respect police. But I was a little bit shocked when we were asked to leave.
Yeah. And as far as, look, I think there is a reasonable argument to be made. Look, that was an active campus university. We know that there's going to be blood and other biologics there. And it's just I think it's reasonable for them to, number one, they're going to have to pull up some of that sod just to get the blood and things out that are going to be visible, that are going to be traumatic to the students, that are going to make students not want to go there. And I don't think it's completely unreasonable for them to renovate and just change out that area, since they have to pull up some sod. And again, it's like, they don't know how much blood's there. I don't know if they're worried about the biologics of it all. I'm not in their head, but what I can say is I feel pretty confident that scene was secured and processed for more than enough time. And you're welcome to disagree with me, and you're welcome to, take a look at university actions of whether or not they should have renovated that area and tried to, it's like if something tragic happened in your house and there's blood all over the wall, like, you're going to paint the wall as quickly as the police say, hey, we're no longer processing this. I feel like it's kind of the same thing where they're trying to mitigate trauma to the students, but I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts on that, Stephen and Marcus?
Yeah, so if you look up local news stations, KJAZ, KUTV, KSL, ABC Utah, and you type in Charlie Kirk crime scene, you're going to see there was hundreds of people crawling. There's all kinds of photos of people in military gear, SWAT team, police. There looks like private investigators. There's yellow tape everywhere. So I think in this TikTok world, we go from Charlie shot, someone at TPUSA is grabbing an SD card. There's one guy that sneaks in and steals a hat, and then next thing you know, the grass is gone. But they don't see that, like, for days they were doing all kinds of investigations. They were up on the roof. I mean, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, they walked the entire crime scene. They're shown everything. There were planes coming in and out of Langley, grabbing evidence, sending it back. So I think there's a lot more than what people believe, because on TikTok, you can make a really quick music video, like, like Hustle Bitch. I know who Hustle Bitch is. That guy makes some very well edited videos, but he's a videographer. Like, that's what he does. He's never been to Utah. He hasn't been to the crime scene. Again, he's a really nice guy. He puts out some very well edited videos with emotional music. But if I was to believe all that, then Charlie was still shot from behind, so as you just start digging in, you have to start checking off the stuff that just doesn't make sense. He wasn't shot from behind. There is no sniper in a grass suit. So I've had to go through and just check off all the things. I feel like I know more of what's not true than what is true.
Yeah.
But that's what has helped me to determine my opinion on things right now.
So here's just a quick list of, and I'm probably missing some of the theories. And obviously all of them can't be true. As a matter of fact, not more than one can be true. Oblique shot from Charlie Kirk's 4 o'clock. Trigger Smart shot from behind. Shooter on top of the building between the trees in front of the water feature. A palm gun, a camera gun, exploding microphone. Charlie Kirk staged his death, and it's all fake. It's a hologram machine. Like, look, we can talk about manipulation from government. We know it happens. There's proof of that. You can go COVID, the 2020 election. There's a litany of things that we can go through that we know are true. Like, we are definitely being manipulated, lied to, and there's conspiracies. All of those things are real. The other thing that is just as real and more prevalent I've seen in this case is, for whatever reason, whether it's disinformation, whether it's trying to fracture the conservative party, whether it is just people trying, that are just trying to make a buck off clicks, views, and being provocative, or it's the left trying to sow dissension amongst the right. I don't know what the driving force is, all of it, but 98% of the deception that I've seen so far has come from content creators in one form or another. And then just wild speculation stated as fact, and all the things. Like, this is going back to the video I've said before. Like, folks, you got to be discerning. I don't want to be tricked by the government, but I sure don't want to be tricked by anyone else either. And like, people are manipulating everybody. I'm being manipulated. You're being manipulated, and that's, I don't know what else to say. And
a key tool that a manipulator will use is your confusion. And if they know once you're susceptible to a point where everything you think you're suspicious of everything, they can use that against you too. So you have to just remain always in a state of discerning and always analyzing things from a first principles. Always, never. You don't want to develop a bias, because it's just going to make you weak, whether it's towards manipulation or not. And the other thing I'll say is, I think that the crime scene was cleaned up so quickly because they have so much evidence to put this guy away. I think like the statement they said, they have voluminous amount of evidence. I think the FBI has all those cameras where Tyler's in, like, it's in his face when he's walking through the tunnel. There's a camera there, and they have way higher definition. They've got so much voluminous evidence that they know they've got what they need. And they wrapped up the crime scene quickly because they have a voluminous amount of evidence.
Yeah, I even disagree with it was quick. The reason that people can say, hey, the next day they were repaving that place is because they know that 90% of the people watching this aren't paying as close attention as like people like us, right? I know that it happened on the 10th. I know that construction started on the 14th. Most people don't know that, right? So they're playing on their their ignorance of this and the fact that they know that 90% of people are just kind of looking at this in the peripheral and aren't going to be as paying this close to the details, as much attention to the details as we do. Yeah. Matt Kester has analyzed sound shot and proved shot came from Lossy building. That is the actual rifle in the evidence box. The photo was leaked to the New York Times, Marcus. Yeah, we know that it was. We know that's what's been said. Blue-eyed devil. The problem is, I don't know that anyone's really confirmed that fact. We definitely haven't been confirmed by an official source that is indeed the rifle. It's also been said that there was like a stock photo. I don't think that's true. I agree with you. I think it is the rifle, but just to clear up any, I think it was a Black Scout. I think it was Black Scout Survival said it was a stock photo of the rifle 5 years ago. It wasn't even the rifle used. See, this is my
so
point.
much confusion because there's no definitive way to say yes or no because it's all leaked, and I just wish we had more of a definitive answer.
And I think the right is especially, look, and this includes myself, I think we are especially primed to believe some things for confirmation bias because we already don't trust the government. And it is in our nature to want to prove whatever the government narrative is that it's incorrect. And so I would just, I can't tell you that the government narrative is correct. I can't tell you that. What I can tell you is exactly what Stephen said. There's some things being said that I think just based on what we have, the trash evidence that we have, the small amount of evidence that we have, there's some things that I think a reasonable person should and probably could dismiss. I tried to find you yesterday, bring you pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. Said I missed you. Thank you for everything, and you were doing. That was very nice of you. I am sad I missed out on those, and that's I'm not being facetious. That is legit. Did you get your shipment yet? Looking forward to the test. I have 4 boxes in the garage waiting for me while I walked in. I literally walked into this house 2 hours before this got started, so we should have some stuff to do some testing. Photo of rifle at night with flashlight posted at 5 p.m. I don't know if that is correct.
I thought it was supposed to like 10 a.m. the next day.
Yeah, and see, this is devil's in the details.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the fog of war, right? So, for example, like we know that they got Tyler Robinson the night before, but they waited for Donald Trump to announce it the next morning on Fox News at like 6 or 7 in the morning. So, like they already
what
had
exactly, Stephen?
Oh, that we've got Charlie Kirk's shooter.
Oh, okay.
So they actually, are you saying that they had him the night of the 11th? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I believe they got him. Well, 33 hours later is when they say that the parents brought him into the police station. That was at night, and it wasn't
on the 12th, right?
That would be on the 12th.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 33 hours later.
Oh no, that would be on the 11th. So I'm not a math magician, but so basically from 12 p.m. Charlie died around 12 p.m. on the 10th. 24 hours later would have been 12 p.m. So the night of the 11th.
Yeah, I think it was September 11th around 9 or 10. He was brought in.
Gotcha.
And they all, I mean, it started to go out, but they held the really big announcement until Trump was on Fox News the next morning, and then all of a sudden mugshots start coming out, and so and again, I don't know that was on purpose, because his announcement was just really like, oh yeah, just as I'm walking on, they told me that they've got his shooter. Like, oh, okay. So again, when and how stuff is leaked is very curious.
Yeah.
It's a good observation.
Toolman said, I wish I could have met you while you're here. Email coming later tonight. M98s you may like. Sounds good. I'll be looking for your email, Chad. Mike Oliver, can you comment on the condition of the rifle scope in the FBI pick? Is the rear ring mount broken? Front ring mount appears shoved almost off the ring mount. The objective bell is jammed up against the ring mount like it had been dropped. So that is a possibility that optic could have slipped when he jumped in the mount. The other thing, and I've said this before, folks, again, we teach long range for a living. we'll have students show up to our schools with a rifle setup that is as bad or worse than what we're seeing. And it's like, have you been shooting like this? And they're like, yeah, I've been shooting that way for years. And it's just, their dad set it up, or they didn't know what they were doing. It's like, hey, the scope's on there, man. I mean, just a lot of people don't know proper setup, but that doesn't really affect its ability to shoot 140 yards. Orderized ramblings, late to the show, super long day at work. Thank you for doing this, Gary. I appreciate your hard work and dedication. What were you going to say, Stephen?
Thank you, guys. I got to jump. My daughter's coming out, but thank you for the opportunity.
No, thank you, Stephen. We'll have you on again sometime, and this time, right now, all we can see is your smile.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Stephen. Talk to you later. Yeah, thanks, Odorized. Ramblings, appreciate you, buddy. Is there a line of sight from the upper floors of the parking garage behind the suspected shooter position? I think we looked at that. Oops. And again, folks, the problem here is, so above, I think he's talking about this. So that's what we were just talking about. And I know we're way behind on the chats, but it is what it is. Winchester has 4 types around the 36 CPX dogs, etc. CPX2 deer, CPX moose, elk, etc. CXP. Again, it's speculation. Stealth, like it could be like we have no idea what the projectile was. My wife Rachel is convinced you're our son from the future. Well, thank you. Well, that's a handsome looking guy then. He came back in the future. I love it. I want to know if there was a campus-wide phone alert sent out to students and staff during the emergency. It's a great question. I don't know. I remember the news saying that Tyler's dad recognized the rifle shown in the news, and that's what tipped him off. I remember hearing that as well. How did Tyler know where Kirk's tent was going to be? Tyler planned this up to a week in advance. How could he have known? How could he have done that unless he knew where well, I mean, look, I'm sure that they have had events there before. And like, that is the event area for the school. So, I mean, it's really the only spot. You have a channelized area that, so that narrows it down. It doesn't take a tactician to figure out that this is where he's going to be speaking from. So I don't know, take that for what that's worth. What's the smallest caliber round of projectile can cause that amount of cavitation? Maybe Tyler fired the 30-06 into the air while someone else fired or detonated a smaller round into CK timed. I mean, either way, it just looks like a 30 caliber round, and like we can talk about 308. Again, it's a very highly energetic event. And whether it's a 30-06 or 308, they're so similar ballistically. There are rounds there. I've said this before, that there's 308 rounds, like some that I have over there, that are high velocity. They're shooting 2,800 feet per second. Those are going to be as powerful as some of the 30-06 rounds. But then there are also, you can go low caliber rounds or low recoil rounds for 30-06. There's a lot of things where you can see a crossover. The most powerful rounds that a 30-06 has to offer are going to have a little bit more energy than 308, but there's a lot of crossover there. And you can drop it down to a 308, and I just don't think you see enough difference. And I don't understand why they would do that. That's my whole problem. I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive and there's something I'm not thinking of. I think that's a very real possibility. Is it possible that Charlie Kirk had held an event at the campus in the past and Robinson attended and seen the setup at the time? Again, I think any event that they're going to have like that, it's probably pretty well known. They may even announced where it was going to be. It's going to be in the amphitheater. And if it's in an amphitheater, I'm sure they did actually. If it's in an amphitheater, there's only one spot you're going to put a guest speaker, and that's right there right there where he was. Has anyone of you guys seen a video of him meeting with a girl before and after the shooting? Heard about, but hasn't seen anything. I've heard about that too. Have you?
I haven't seen it. I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah. How many seconds do you figure it took him to stand up and run to where he jumped off the roof? That's approximately 107 yards. I don't know. Where we see him in the video, there's a video from that we see. They're actually taking that video from the glass where we see him running across. Where they actually show him is only like 10 feet from where he actually took the shot, where he's actually running. I've looked at that multiple times. I don't know if I'm exactly 10 feet, but there's enough time there, and I think it's more like 5 seconds or so into it. Like it doesn't fail the smell test for me in that video. That like it's not impossible that he took the shot and got to where he was videoed on that video. I'll be damned. That's Steven's analysis. What I am implying. LOL. Steven's good, man. I bet everything on body armor. Look, it's to me, clearly I'm biased toward that. That's what I see. I continue to go back and try to not see that, especially when we look at those rear photos. You see so much structure when that round is passing into his body. It's hard for me to unsee the body armor. I'll be the first to admit it. Rifle USA was scrapped years ago. UAS was scrapped years ago. They are unreliable. Suicide drones and grenade drops are the standard, even U.S. drone manufacturer. I agree. Yeah. YouTube is censoring what I can send, but check out Forensic Audio Breakdown by Matt Kester. Yeah, you typically can't send links in those guys. Send me the link. I've been meaning to check out Matt Kester's video. I've been hearing about it for the last 2 days. I haven't had a chance to check it out. Sounds like he did a really good job, thorough job, and was pretty definitive. Have you watched that at all?
No, I've been talking to Matt. We may do a live stream, and he'd probably join us on this one of these days, and he'd be great to have. But I haven't watched it all the way through, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty similar to what we did on one of our earlier live streams, which is crack to bang, doing a radius, and it lines up to be basically where the alleged shooter shot from, basically.
Yeah. What do you think of Nate's video of his buddy evaporating cow's neck with a 30-06? Look, the problem is with any of these videos, everybody and their brother's done ballistic testing videos, right? The problem is, do we have the same round? Are we working under the same circumstances? That's the challenge with this. I mean, it's sensational. There's no doubt about it. Send an email and PDF to address and Paramount website. Please review and comment. Comp site, roof hypothesis. If pro shooter, this is the location. I have diagram and sightline ideas on acoustics, interested in criticism. Fair enough. I started off thinking more like Candace. I believe it's pretty much the way the FBI presents it now. The only thing sticking out to me right now is the 30-06, a long life of hunting and results. And look, I do want to point out that we're definitely seeing a shift. As more information comes out, you have all of these people that were extremely definitive. Candace is one of them about certain things. And now they're shifting more toward how things are being presented. And I just think it's worth taking a note of. It hasn't been confirmed the trial will be televised. I don't think that's the language they use. Correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus. I heard it's going to be made public. That's the statement that I heard. I know a lot of people automatically think that's going to be televised, and I hope it is. It should be. But I don't know.
Will be televised. I just don't know. I'm definitively enough to say for sure, but my understanding is as much as they can televise publicly, they will. But that's all I know, to be honest. I'll leave it there.
Cool. I got DNA on my Woof's chassis. So smexy. Jeff got a Woof chassis from us. I just looked. There were flyers for the UVU listed that said where it was going to be. That answers my own question. There you go, folks. Look, me and Marcus here are filling in the gaps as we go. Yeah, but can the prosecution put the rifle on the roof? Yeah, so that was one of the things that we talked about with Steven. There's going to be a couple things. Like, even I want to show you guys this real quick. So on the roof, and you guys have already seen to some extent, right? This is all gravel. All of this is gravel. All this gray area. I'm sorry, this right here. All of this area is gravel, right? So all of this is gravel. And it's like, and you can see, we actually were using the drone. You could see like scuff marks. You could still see the imprints of what I'm assuming was where Tyler Robinson was. And then you see how the scuff marks along here. Folks, that is going to be an extremely unique composite of materials that they're going to be able to take the dust off of that rifle and match it to the dust off of that roof. So if that was the rifle on that roof, you better believe they're going to be able to match that up to that. So just be aware of that. If that's not the real gun in the photo, this is not cool. If that's not the real gun in the photo, how could the father recognize grandpa's gun if it comes out that the gun pick is false? The story is BS. Agreed. And I don't think there's any indication other than people speculating that it's a stock photo or anything like that. That's just being interjected into the zeitgeist, and we don't know. Just like there's no blood. Come on, people. Thank you, Gary and team. Yeah, this is a great point. Everybody was saying there was no blood, and we showed that there was blood, and plenty of it. And I've recently gotten more pictures, by the way. More pictures. Look, as this goes along, more and more people are going to start releasing pictures. There's thousands of people there. Like, the pictures we have are not the only pictures. There's lots of people out there that don't want to put out their photos and videos. I've talked about this on X. Like, the internet is not giving people a lot of reason to release the photos, because as soon as you release photos, people start saying, well, why didn't you give that sooner? Oh, this is AI. This can't be true. You waited too long to release this, all this stuff. And like, why would people put themselves through that? It's like, if you get new photos, that's fine. You can criticize them. You take a look at them, but going after people the way that I've seen people on X, especially, go after people when new photos are released, doesn't make sense. And you're not encouraging them to release more information. Marcus, you take this one. I'm already tired of hearing myself talk.
It's unfortunate that there are so many people who have no concept of ballistics, air guns, 17 HMR, 22 mag, palm pistol, any pistol, 5.56 or LV or small caliber HV round wouldn't move a 200-pound man the way it did.
Low velocity and high velocity is what he's talking about, folks.
Yeah. And luckily we've got resources like this, Gary putting this on, and he's an expert. So even I learn a lot from him, and that's what we're doing here. Just dispel as much as we can.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. No, I appreciate you having you on too, buddy. Stealth says, I know assuming when I see one, which unfortunately assume is the mother of F-ups. Look, at the end of the day, I've been defensive of the security team, but at the end of the day, look, their job was to protect them, and things went awry. He died. They're protected. He died, and they're going to have to live with that for the rest of their lives. And that's the other thing too, is like, if the security team was in on it, man, I sure hope they got a big paycheck, because they're going to have a hard time finding work again, if they even want to work again. If it's the gun, the scope looks broken and jammed back on the glass like the rifle was dropped. Well, I mean, there's a good chance that when he jumped folks, that's like 15 feet. Even him hanging off the side, he jumped at least 10 feet. I guarantee you that buttstock hit the ground with quite a bit of force. So, that could be a plausible explanation for that. Or it could have just been set up all funky to begin with. Gary, I just sent you all the audio forensics. Hey, Matt, what's going on, buddy? I just put out.
There he is.
There's no way it came from anywhere else other than the roof of the lawsuit building. I'd love to. I don't know if you're available. I don't know. Marcus, you were already talking to him. If you guys want to set something up, we can do a three-way, whether it's tomorrow.
I know Matt Kessler's definitely down to do this, and he's got a lot of great perspective on this from the very beginning. He's been putting out quality information. So now that Gary, now that you're getting connected with him, I think this would be the way to do it. It's a three-way with us. So Matt, if you can, I'll talk to you after this, but then I'll connect it with Gary as well, so it works with his timeline.
Awesome. The bullet was a 7mm metric translated into word 7 mountain mandate, meaning the charismatic Christians plan and organize it. Now I'm going to end up. I think Raymond's having some fun there. Your professional opinions, 30-6. I wish our government and alphabet agencies didn't lie and deceive so we could have 1% trust. Here's where I stand on the 30-6. And I stated this at the beginning. I feel like as unlikely as the 30-6 is to have the results that we have, I do think there's some plausible explanations. If we knew what the projectile was, we know what was going on with the ammo. Like if they released that report today, Marcus and I might be like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Like maybe it was some hand loads, maybe it was some low recoil stuff. Frangible rounds. I think almost for sure we're dealing with some sort of frangible rounds. You know, if that information came out, maybe we'd be like, you know what? Okay, now it all makes sense. I have a hard time explaining that, but everything else has more problems than the 30-6 not having an exit wound. That's the way that I see this right now. What are your thoughts on that, Marcus?
100%. I mean, you said that perfectly. It is very implausible that there's no exit wound. It's very bizarre. It's hard to believe, but every other theory is harder for me to believe right now. So if we just think about it, if we figure out a ballistic explanation for why it didn't exit, this case is closed. You know, all the other evidence points towards, at this point now points towards, you know, the alleged position, the alleged shooter. For me, that's the, and so I would rather spend the time talking out the ballistic explanation. What possible way could we explain this? Because, you know, if we solve that, everything else is solved. So, because if we go another direction and we start entertaining another theory, there's so many other holes. Right now, there's just one hole for me. It's the no exit wound.
Yeah. All available evidence supports the official narrative. People desperately want there to be conspiracy. They need it. Also, Candace, so like you. Yeah, like I said, I think there's some things that play into our bias, right? And look, I mean, is it so far-fetched that with the demagoguery that Charlie Kirk was subjected to, of how he was, you know, Hitler, he was the worst, he was homophobic, all the things that were said about Charlie, do we not think that there is a chance that somebody that was pro-trans, that was everything that Tyler is? Look, the fact is there are plenty of crazy people out there. They have the will, they have the motivation. All they need is to be directed and have a target. And the way that the left has spoken the last few years about certain individuals, Charlie included, I think they painted a target on his chest. And I think that's just the reality of it. And that's something that if we have any Democrats out there, I think we need to agree that some of the language that's being used in the political sphere, like we've got to stop. We've got to stop this. Like we can disagree, but we got to quit demonizing one another. And look, I do feel like that many of the policies on the left are destructive to the American life. And I feel very strongly about that. And I know that the left feels the same way about the right. That's fine. But we need to be able to debate those things, talk about those things, and not just call each other Hitler and everything else. And I'm trying to be as gracious as possible. But I'll just go ahead and, for everybody that's flaming me in the comments right now, I'm not equating the two, because the language that has come from the left is far different than the general population. I'm not saying there aren't instances where people on the right are using, you know, calling the left certain names and everything else. I'm just saying it's been different. It's the way that the conservatives have been painted by the left as less than human. because that's what's been happening the last several years. Don't call people names, David. Come on. There I was in the middle of a kumbaya speech, and I had this up there the whole time. You guys are wondering about the cameras on UVU, and they have between 12 and 1,800 cameras on campus, so LEFBI is going to have a ton of footage for the trial. Great channel. Your wife is lucky I'm straight, or she'd have some competition.
People are hilarious.
With that. Super sticker. Thank you. Ian Carroll up in the house. Awesome show, Gary and Carroll, that you got scans and are making them available. Real leadership. Thank you. Thank you, Ian. We appreciate that. Ian, I'd love to have you on the show sometime. I know we see the world differently, but that's okay, buddy. I'd like to talk through some of that and hear your perspective. Definitely down for a three-way.
Damn it. Come on, guys.
Making it weird. As we were saying,
The internet's
weird.
There's only certainty is the internet will make it weird. That's the only thing certain in this life.
Yep. Kirk assassination deck wound, not from a bullet or explosive, by Trigger Smart here on YouTube. Critique next go round if you would. I think I'm just going to make a video on it. I did kind of break it down in a critique on X if you guys want to go check that out. Can you explain why George Zinn took the blame? I have no idea. That is super weird. I don't know if there's a connection or not. I don't know what to say about that. Allison, thank you very much. William Goff, thank you. Greg Watson, thank you. This country is getting weak. If they have absolute proof he did it, skip to the end goal and stop wasting taxpayer money and letting the conspiracy exist. Yeah, but they can't, right? Let's just say the government's on the up and up and they're preparing things. Number one, we had the defense ask for a additional time to go through the evidence. So when they were at the initial hearing there, the probable cause hearing, it was the defense that asked for an extension on time. So there's a lot of evidence to go through, and they're not going to share that with the public. There's a huge element of that can't be overstated. Thoughts on Springfield Accelerator 55 grain. This is Remington Express 30-06 Springfield ammunition with 55 grain soft point bullets, 40-80 feet per second muzzle velocity, and 20-33 foot-pounds muzzle energy. Accelerator rounds come up with every stream that we do on every video that I have. I am trying to get my hands. I think I have some. I think I have a line on some. We definitely want to test those. I've had a long, tiring day, and I could gaze at Marcus for the rest of the night. Handsome as always. Look at that. Look at that.
Damn, you guys.
You know what?
You guys know how to gas me up. Boom.
There we go. We're putting him on full display. Full display. Yeah. All right. Let me hit just a few lives real quick and try to get as many of these in as I can. Everyone seemed pretty calm while walking around outside, but they didn't hear it. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they heard it, or if they did, they thought it was something else. If you won't admit roof guy laid down two objects, who would give you any information? If you won't admit, I guess he's talking to somebody in the chat. I know, yeah, look what happened to the girl on the bus arena. No one even knew that she got stabbed. Yeah. I don't know what you're referencing in there, but that is a great point. That was something I saw a picture of her come up on a post yesterday, and, you know, it's really unfortunate. Paramount Tactical, look how he's carrying the towel. If he wasn't covering a rifle, he would ball it up. I think that one came up earlier. Let me try to get some of these other ones. My mouse is wigging out on me again. Let's see what Ted asked. Charlie Kirk had to go. It's obvious he got Trump elected and no more use for Charlie. I mean, like, I find no logic in that, Terry. No logic at all. So if he got Trump elected, why wouldn't he be useful to get the next president elected and be useful in politics later on? Even if he had disagreements with the administration, like, those come and go. I mean, look at all the people that Trump had fights with and then later on are part of his cabinet and everything else, including J.D. Vance, by the way. You know, JD Vance was going after Trump hard for a really long time. So, you know, that's where I say that. Captain Kirk and Shannon should get married in Israel. I guess we're referencing people in the chat. Dennis, I did in the on X, just a quick, I hit a couple of points that I found didn't make sense to me, but we can go through it in more details. We still have to remember the way the event starts. The coordinator of the Pat CG's in, the CK serial hater Kozak asking a question about trans shooters' exact time of shooting. Too many anomalies. Yeah. All right. MLK, similar caliber, angle of elevation, distance, closer, even rounded next. It did. It also hit, and this is, I missed this one earlier. 30-06 and always through and through. I messaged you about anatomy of this on X. MLK got hit by the same round and deflected on bone. It did. I think there's some material differences on MLK, and that is he was hit in the mandible. So I do think there's some differences there. I don't know that you can do a direct comparison, but your point is legitimate, right? Maybe by some miracle, you know, it just didn't. I don't know. Let me go through these last couple of super chats, and I'm gonna give Marcus the final word, and we're gonna call it a night. That's 3 hours deep, folks. Would World War II gun look like that one pick? The one in the pick looks generic. I thought Grandpa's rifle had a Woodstock. Thoughts? Yeah. So what is very common in these old rifles, like you guys see the rifle on my back right there, right? So that has a chassis, but I can take 2 bolts out of that. Let me just throw this up here so you can see this other gun. All right. So if you guys look at the rifle up here, all right, this is a more traditional stock, right? So that's a Remington 700, 700P. So that's more of a traditional stock. I can take that 2 bolts and I can put it into one of these more modern chassis that we have back here. And all I'm doing is removing the barreled action. There has been some reports, and I don't know if you can verify this, Marcus. There's been some reports that even the barrel had been changed on that original rifle, which makes sense to me. If you have a really old gun, it's very common to update these rifles. Even that rifle up there that I'm talking about, I've thought about taking that out and put it into a more modern chassis. So that's not uncommon that they would put a more adjustable synthetic stock. The other problem with these older guns, when you have these wooden stocks, is they do get broken and they start to rot, they start to splinter, crack. So that's not uncommon or weird at all. You got anything else to add to that, Marcus?
No, I think if we're going off the fact that the picture that we have is the weapon, then it's not that hard to explain these things, that because weapons can easily be modified. So, but yeah, it does not look like a traditional Mauser, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I want to thank. Let me get his name right, just so I don't screw this up, because he's sending me a Mauser, and I want to make sure I get his name right. Super nice, Chad. All right, I won't give out his last name, but Chad is nice enough to send me a Mauser, so I can take a look at it. We can do some things with it. He had 2 of them. He said he'd send me one for free. I tried to pay for it and try to pay for the the shipping to us. And he wouldn't have any of it. So again,
wow.
You know, I am really grateful to everybody out there that have supported this. Like you guys have been able to make it happen so that I could go and do the trip that we did and do the scan that we did. And I'm just super grateful. I'm grateful, especially the comments that I see, Gary, you know, you and Marcus talking about this, the way that you guys have really helped me out and helped me deal with this whole event. And again, this is a tragic event, and it was tragic for me. That's part of, like, I feel like a little bit of this is just me trying to work through some things and get my own mind wrapped around why this happened in my country. You know, I don't care if you think it's a political assassination, if other countries were involved, like, why is this happening in the United States of America? This is third world shit that should not be happening. And then on top of that, I'm also a little bit dismayed. I'm going a little negative here, and I don't mean to. But, you know, I'm also dismayed by the comments, the lack of humanity from the comments from people on the left, and not all of them. I've also had lots of people on the left, Democrats, reach out to me and say, Gary, you know, I think this is tragic. This should never happen in the United States. And, you know, I'm a Democrat, but, I don't support this, and I think it's a real shame. We should all feel that way. And like, we got to fix this country. And that's what this channel's always been about. It's not making America great. It's making Americans great again. And that's what we got to do. We got to, men should be out there leading. Men should be out there raising sons and daughters and being in their lives. Like, we should be teaching integrity and just a lot of things that we've fallen away from, and our country is hurting because of it. And we're not, like, I don't see how our country can exist in 10 years if we don't turn this boat around. And I think that the death of Charlie Kirk is just a symptom of that. And I hope to see that we change our course dramatically.
Well said.
Said you and Marcus have performed with integrity. They can't be said of Carol, Owens, Mata, and others. Look, what I've really been trying to work through the last few days is, look, I've had people in the comments say things like, there's no way that you believe what you believe, and you're just saying this, and and then ascribe all these sort of motivations. And it's clearly not true. I can tell you that right now. Like, nobody pays me to say what I say. Nobody could pay me to say what I say. You could not pay me to change what I'm telling you. I don't care if I have 10 people watching, 1 million. I don't give a shit. So the point is I could be thinking things about Candace or anybody out there, and I could be ascribing some sort of motivation that's just not true. They just see the world differently than I do. And I'm trying, look, I think the more people that we come together, even if we disagree with it, even if we are suspicious about their motivations, I think the better off that we are. We got to stop the division on our side. We got to stop it. Marcus has the Elvis thing. Better not Mr. Dog Nose watch. Did he call Trump a Nazi? But look who's Trump's VP. Exactly. My hot take is that inflation is that the inflation we see in the shirt is an airbag type weapon that inflates a sharp point. That's the lift in the shirt. That's a take. That is a take. Take my money. I'm saying again, Marcus equals handsome.
Cheers, Allison.
Very simple to leverage AI for audio analysis. I just posted a sample making FBI narrative plausible, inspired by Matt Kester and Audio Freaks. All right. There's an interview with a man who was at the shooting range with Tyler a while before the shooting, and he commented about how fast and proficient TR was getting with his gun out and shooting his target before the man even started shooting. I haven't seen that. Have you seen anything like that, Marcus?
Oh yeah. As soon as you said the last part, I tuned in. I was like, what?
There's an interview with a man who was at the shooting range with Tyler a while before the shooting, and he commented about how fast proficient Tyler was with getting his gun out and shooting his target before the man even started shooting.
I'd love to see that. I mean, I have not seen that. If anybody has that interview, please send it to me on. Send me a DM on X. That'd be awesome.
Do you still believe a titanium shield was used? Well, I never stated specifically that a titanium shield was used. I said a thin type of body armor. I'm at this point, I'm going to take Andrew Covelt at his word. And if he says there's no body armor, I'm going to work under that moving forward. I also want to make sure that I clearly stated in that video, I could be wrong. And that's that. And if you guys want to hang that around my neck, if I end up being wrong on that, that's fine. You're welcome to do whatever you want. But that's not going to stop me from moving forward and continuing to look for evidence and doing the things that we do. You know what? We're all going to mess up. We're all going to fail. If I was wrong on that, I still see some things that don't make sense to me if he wasn't wearing body armor. I'll just say it like that. So anyways, that's where I'm at on that. And it's a fair question.
It is.
Marcus, got any final words for the folks out there?
Yeah, as always, I want to continue to give praise to Charlie Kirk and his legacy, and say, you know what, as a Christian, I rejoice that he's in heaven in a better place, and that he gets to watch his legacy grow bigger and better than probably he would have ever imagined. So I trust in God's plan. I want to give praise in that way. I also want to say the reason I'm here with Gary night after night is that I respect him, and he's a man of principle and honor. His word means something, and here on the internet, it's very hard to find characters like that anymore. And so want to give thanks to Gary for putting that on and putting this on, continuing to have me on. And then for me personally, I want to set the record straight on my channel. I put out a video recreating the shot the best I can. My understanding at the time when I was editing and producing it was that it was a Mauser. It actually was not. And my friend Ted was saying it's a Remington 1700 or a Remington 700, and we're just going to use it as our mock Mauser.
Yeah.
But I didn't clarify that in the video, so that is a Remington 700. I would love to do that test again with ballistics, with an actual Mauser. That would be awesome. But for now, that's the best I could recreate. And so I'm going to continue to try to put out quality content on this, but never compromise my word and remain putting out stuff that I truly believe is the best of my knowledge and is truthful. So that's the most important thing, because I'm doing this because I care. I want to know the truth, and I'm not going to trust what's thrown at me from the media or any other of these influencers. I want to know the truth for myself on this, because this is a big deal. This is a turning point in I think my generation. Seeing this happen, seeing what's happened to Charlie, like Gary was saying, just for speaking his truth, and seeing what has happened to him is deeply affected me, and I want to know the truth of this. So that's the only reason why I'm here. Is I'm going to continue seeking that out, and I'm only going to put out stuff that I truly believe is helpful and beneficial to bringing clarity to the situation. So that's all.
Nope. I love having you on the show, Marcus. Everything you said goes right back at you. Yeah. And, the big thing with this to me, folks, at this point, the thing that worries me is that we're going to let people fracture the right, because I feel like this should have been a culminating event that like brings the entire country together. Like, hey, pause. Like, we've been doing some things wrong, both on the left and the right. And then at least the right coalesces around this event. But what I'm seeing is, because of differing opinions and people getting all pissy and allegations being thrown around and stuff like that, on our side, like, we're becoming fractured and combatant with one another. Like, I'm just like, don't allow that to happen. Don't just resist that nonsense. I don't want to get on here and bash Candace if I disagree, or anybody else. Like we gotta right the ship on this. And if we can't do it for the entire country, we at least need to do it on our side of the aisle, for those of you that are conservative, Republicans, libertarians, whatever you want to call them. All right. Well, folks, so real quick, thank you very much, Fantasy Dog. And the last one, Christian Padilla. Not sure if you found a 3D model yet. I'd like to throw my hat in the ring. I'd love that. Like, the more we can do this, the more, if we get 10 modelers on this, make sure that we get it just right, and everybody critique each other. Iron sharpens iron. We make sure we do this well. Shoot me an email or contact me on Twitter, but DLPodcast@ParamountTactical.com, or just DM me on Twitter. Either one of those works, Christian. I really appreciate you volunteering for that. So thank you very much. Marcus, glad you jumped in here, buddy. I appreciate it. And get with Matt and let's get something lined up for that, and we'll go from there, bud.
Sounds good. Have a good night, Gary.
Folks, thanks you for being great Americans. And until next time, stay armed and stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.